Welcome to the Tag Team Talk Show. Introducing your hosts, Cyber Matt and the Phenomenal One.
Hey everyone, we are at the inaugural episode of the Tag Team Talk Show. I'm very excited to be honest. I feel like, to be honest, since we watched Mania together, and we kind of had this, I don't know, it just felt like I'd known you for ages and that we'd been speaking for years and years. I feel like it was kind of inevitable we were always just going to kind of end up working on something together, to be honest.
Yeah, dude. Like, bear in mind, like, we've only really known each other for a month and a half,
if that.
Yeah. And then again, when your partner introduced you to me, it was like very weird how much alike we were, but never met each other. Again, as you quite rightly said, and then find out we both like wrestling. I was like, sweet. So yeah, had to do a watch party, and I'm glad we got to watch some Mania together as well.
Yeah, I think literally the first thing she came through and said to me, she was like, you need to check out this streamer. He's a Sleep Token fan. I was like, yep, sold. Let's go. Because she's sick and tired of hearing me talk about Sleep Token, and every time we get in the car, I just hog the cable, instantly put on Sleep Token. She literally said to me the other day, can it just be something else? Anything else other than Sleep Token? I was like, no, it can't. But yeah, like, I just think it was inevitable. Like, we just got too much in common. It just kind of, over time, we just got talking and through streaming and stuff like that, and it was just kind of weird. Like, we just kept spouting facts, and it was just like, yeah, I agree with that. I also agree with that. And that.
It's a good thing about content creation. Get to meet amazing people and then do stuff like this where it's interesting, scary, everything in between. It's exciting. Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, this is somewhat daunting, starting this like new project together. But I'm excited for it. Like you said previously when we were just chatting, it's nice to have someone to talk to about things that we're both interested in and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Wrestling for me has always been like this kind of weird niche thing where loads of people are into it, but you can never actually seem to find anybody that wants to talk to you about it.
I agree. I couldn't agree more with you. It's one of them ones, like, I speak to people about it, and then it's like you get the odd one or two people when Mania or Royal Rumble come around that'll be like, oh, I'm watching wrestling. I'm like, oh yeah, so I've been following the Bloodline story. Like, the what?
The who?
and you're like, okay, so you watch wrestling casually, got it, okay.
Which is fine, by the way.
Yeah, of course. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. More eyes on wrestling means better exposure, all that goodness. But it's hard when you hear people going, oh man, EastEnders yesterday, it broke my heart when this happened. I'm like, yeah, but did you watch the Bray Wyatt documentary? And people are like, who's that? I'm like, oh, it's a guy who passed away. Like, no. I was like, oh, he's this and that. And yeah, it's nice to have people more passionate about wrestling, because again, I'm going to sound like an old person, back in the day when I was younger, it was frowned upon. It's like, oh, it's fake. You still get that now, but as long as you're having a good time watching it, who cares?
Well, I mean, I kind of wanted to touch on that at some point, really. Might as well just do it now, really. But like the whole, when I was young, and I'm not sure exactly when it was you first started watching wrestling, but like back in school, it was huge. Like, everyone in the playground used to talk about it, tape swapping, all that lovely stuff, and it just dropped off. But like, I don't know about you, but it kind of feels like to me, especially with what they were saying around WrestleMania 40, it kind of feels like it's on the precipice of maybe getting that big again.
See, for me, school, I was the only kid that liked wrestling. Okay. I was the only child in primary school, not secondary school. There was one other kid, but he left within 2 years of being in the school. And then college, no one at all. Like, I'd even mention it and they'd be like, what? I'm like, oh, okay. But I was the only kid that I could honestly, like, hand on heart go, yeah, I watched wrestling from the age of 4 up until I'm 31, and it's mental. But I never had that big social group or anyone that was like, yeah, I can go and talk to about Monday Night Raw or Royal Rumble or SummerSlam results. It's it's always me, and then there'll be the one or two kids that'll be like, "Oh, I saw." I'm trying to think of a celebrity. Snooki came out at WrestleMania. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah, that's the only thing you care about.
Yes, she did. Unfortunately, and you're like, how can I respond to this? Like, she's shit.
I mean, they do it every year, don't they? That Mania, you always get the odd celebrity pop up here and there.
Yeah, this one, I wasn't too sure on the celebrities that popped up, to be honest with you.
I mean, being an NFL fan, I like the fact that Jason Kelsey turned up because Philadelphia he's retired now, was his team. So it's kind of cool to see him pop up. But the rest of it, I was just a little bit. Lil Wayne was a bit naff.
Yeah, I was gonna say the greatest rapper of all time line. Really, yeah. I was like, oh, I'm excited. Who's this gonna be? Lil Wayne. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. But yeah, I mean, at least we've now got at least one other person each that wants to talk about wrestling.
Exactly. We're not alone.
Exactly. And I feel like hopefully if this does well, we could be that for other people as well. If they don't have that group of friends and stuff like that, they can listen to the podcast or watch the show and feel like they have conversations about it, which is
very true.
Is nice. Because like you say, not everybody has that group of friends that wants to talk about that kind of stuff. And I mean, prior to meeting you, I also wasn't that person. So yeah, I mean, it felt like at school it was big, but by the time I'd sort of reached college age and stuff, it had fallen massively out of the public eye.
Yeah,
I'm not with you in the sense that I've watched it all the way through my life. I definitely had a period of cooling off from wrestling.
Okay.
I can't exactly pinpoint when it was because I remember watching it probably until I was about 17, 18.
Okay.
And I think it kind of like fell off a cliff a little bit at that point. And
yeah. I don't know how long ago that was for you, but yeah, there was a point when wrestling did get very boring, like especially for me, WWE is like my main product that I watched. So I then started venturing out and seeing other products, and that's when I stumbled across the good old classic TNA. And then fell in love with the product because, again, they had some wrestlers that I knew, like some household names in the sense of like Kurt Angle, Christian Cage, Sting, and then Jeff Hardy joined, then left, then rejoined, then left, and I think joined back again.
Yeah, the less said about his TNA run, the better, I think.
Yeah. But and like I fell out of love with WWE's product a fair bit, and then again found TNA, and I would casually watch WWE, but TNA was like my bread and butter. I would watch every episode of Impact, every pay-per-view, and then WWE was more of the I'll just watch the highlights, and if there's any good matches, then I'd find a way of watching them. And yeah, like TNA was my middle ground of trying to find new stuff.
See, I was kind of like that in a way. When I came back to wrestling eventually, it kind of wasn't to watch WWE to start with, like yourself. I was watching stuff like Lucha Underground and stuff like that.
Oh, Lucha Underground was so good. Was that on like MTV or something like that? And it was like the most bizarre shit. Like again with like what was it, Prince Puma, aka Ricochet.
Yeah. They had John Morrison on there at one point as well.
Sure. What's his name? Johnny Mundo or something
like that.
He's got so many names. He needs to calm down. Just stick with one. Just be Johnny Wrestling. Everyone knows who you are.
Yeah, I think I watched that because it was just interesting. Like the whole format of it being seasonal and stuff like that was just really interesting to me. And like I say, it had some pretty decent names on it at a point. I'm pretty sure Rey Mysterio did a few matches in there as well.
Ray, Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some big names, like especially now these days, but yeah, there was loads.
Yeah, eventually I think, all roads end up leading back to WWE eventually, because it is the biggest product, as much as AEW likes to tout that they're a competitor, they're kind of not, and no shame to people that like AEW, but it's not in the same ballpark by any stretch.
And I definitely feel like AEW could potentially get there. They just need to start steering the ship in the right direction.
Yeah.
And get Tony Khan off of Twitter. He annoys me so much.
Yeah.
Like, especially like, what is it, over the WrestleMania again? I'm going to keep talking about WrestleMania. I think we'll probably get a bit more in depth of that. Yeah. Over the WrestleMania weekend, Collision was on at the same day as WrestleMania Night 1. And every 20 minutes there was a tweet. Oh my God, you never believe what's happening. And fair play to him, he's trying to push his product. I get that, I respect it, but no one's going to watch Collision over WrestleMania unless you're like not with your friends to watch it. Or again, I know in the US pay-per-views are expensive. I think like $50 or something ridiculous. Or unless you have Peacock or the WWE Network, it's extortionate, and I get that. 100%. So for like a casual fan, if you want to just watch wrestling, you could always watch AEW at that point. But yeah, just seeing him like tweet about it non-stop. And again, I understand you're trying to pick your products over the other products, but it's fucking WrestleMania, man. You're not gonna scratching the surface.
I read this quote the other day. It was to do, it's not wrestling talk, it's video game talk, but the new Final Fantasy MMO expansion was slated to come out at a set time, and they've pushed it back by a month. And when the game producer was asked why, he said that the Elden Ring DLC is out that month, so we're moving it away from that. It's exactly the same thing, isn't it? Like, that most people who are into wrestling are going to be watching WrestleMania, regardless of how you feel about WWE or their product. Pretty much everyone's going to watch Mania, and even people that aren't into wrestling are going to watch Mania. So the thought that you're going to be pulling eyes away from that to AEW, and like I say, you get that he's trying to promote his product and stuff like that, but it's just a bit of hubris, really, isn't it, to be honest, and arrogance to think that that's going to happen. I mean, we'll touch on some AEW stuff later on in the news section, because there's some stuff I'd quite like to get your thoughts on. Cool. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, like, because I went to All In last year in London, and it felt like this really special moment of like wrestling fans all getting together and having this like massive event in the UK. I know that was it Money in the Bank that they did in the UK that year as well?
I went to Money in the Bank.
Oh, was it good?
So, I went to the Friday Night SmackDown showing, the Money in the Bank, and again, it was amazing. It was I like wrestling. Again, I love wrestling, so going to see wrestling live is always an amazing experience. Yeah, and especially a Money in the Bank match. It's one of the matches that I'd say it's a guilty pleasure of mine. Not many people love it or hate it. It's a Marmite match for people now these days. Yeah, sure. But I really, really like the Money in the Bank match, and again, getting to watch the Usos versus Roman and Solo was a great match too. It was fantastic. So,
yeah, because they've just announced that they're doing Clash at the Castle again this year.
Yes, in Scotland.
I think as well, next week they've got smaller events. I think they've got untaped events in London and Birmingham.
Yeah,
I think next week
on the 19th. I think
it was. Yeah, I'm glad I couldn't get tickets. Well, I could get tickets, but I looked at it a bit too late to figure out the logistics of it. But yeah, with the All In stuff though, it felt like a really good springboard for AEW to like get bigger, and it just kind of feels like since then they've just squandered all of that. But yeah, I mean, we'll touch on why later on, I think. But yeah, it sucks because I think competition breeds success, and I mean, you saw that with the Monday Night Wars back in the Attitude Era. Although WCW, they did what they did, and in some ways AEW seemed like they're going down the same path.
I'll touch on that later on.
But it kind of, it feels too much the same to what happened there, but it's good for the wrestlers. There's always somewhere else for them to work if they're not happy where they are. good for the boys, as they like to say, but it's good for consumers. Like, if you're not a fan of the WWE product, then you have an alternative. And, you know, like you say, TNA's still going and stuff like that, but AEW felt at times like it could have pushed. It could have pushed to get in a similar ballpark to WWE, but
yeah,
if things keep going the way they're going, I just can't foresee it, to be honest.
Yeah, same here. I'm 100% on your side with that statement, to be honest with you. It's a weird one. Like, again, I felt like they were doing so well, like, post or pre-COVID and during COVID. They were beating NXT in the ratings and smashing it, and it was like, shit, like, they're actually making TNA run for their money a little bit. And not TNA, NXT, sorry, my bad.
No, you're right.
But again, that's WWE products versus them, and it was going great. And then all of a sudden they mixed it up, and they were still doing amazing with the ratings and always beating WWE, and now all of a sudden it's just seeming to slowly fall flat. And don't get me wrong, they have some amazing talent, like the signing of Will Ospreay recently, which, again, I would have loved to have seen him in WWE, because he would have some phenomenal matches, and I know he's going to have some amazing matches in AEW. But it's just, the announcements don't feel as special, because Tony Khan's got a special announcement every week. It's like, tune into Collision next week for a special announcement, and it's like, oh, I'm excited to see what this is. Oh, letting you know, it's 2-for-1 tickets. Okay, sick.
Yeah, it just cheapens it, really, doesn't it, to be honest?
Yeah. Again, and I feel like with the whole, like, going through, I'm going to go with TNA. I keep saying TNA. It's AEW and WWE's Punk return. Don't get me wrong. AEW CM Punk return was amazing. Like, I remember watching it because I was like, no way is he going to show up. He's done with wrestling. And then seeing him come out for the first time, you're like, damn, he's actually back. He's not just saying this or tweeting this and making a rumor of it. It's him in the flesh. I feel like that was a groundbreaking moment for him, and they've done an amazing job with it. But again, it's me probably being a bit of a WWE fanboy, a little bit too much. But seeing him come out at War Game, was it Survivor Series, the War Games match?
Yeah.
I never thought I'd see him step foot in a WWE match. Like, I thought anywhere else in the world, it'd probably like New Japan or just somewhere else. Never ever did I think, yeah, he'll be back in WWE at least one more time, just to say, like, you're right. It's mad. So
yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I think from the news I've seen on that is that it literally couldn't have happened closer to the time of him walking through for that. Like, from what I saw, I think it was he'd signed it like there and then just kind of walked out. Which is kind of nuts. And I from what I was aware, I think only like 5 people knew, including any of the talent. And I think that's why you saw Seth's reaction, because Seth, it's like, it's not like a quiet thing. Seth's open about how much he hates CM Punk, as a person, as a wrestler. So seeing Seth's reaction was a genuine reaction, and it was crazy. But it's real, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's real, and I think, I mean, we'll touch on it when we get to Mania and talk about that match, but a lot of, for me, of what works so well for WWE storylines is when they're somewhat rooted in realism. Like, if there's some kind of thing that you can look at and go, oh, they really hate each other, or Cody's won and it's to finish the story, and the story's a real thing. Like, to me, those are the stories that hook me more than anything. And I mean, fair play to, like, Seth and Drew, because Drew clearly doesn't like him either. But, like, fair play to them for, like, tucking it to the side and going, okay, I don't like you, but you're good for business. And, you know, being willing to do that, because, I don't know, if I don't like someone at work, I don't even want to talk to them.
Yeah, you'll just be like, I'll avoid them.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, should we move on to Mania then? And we'll have a little chat about Mania.
I'm good for that.
Cool. So Saturday, first day, like I said, we watched it. Well, most of it together, didn't we? And
Yeah.
I think I quite liked the first match, and I think we said it at the time that, well, I said it at the time, it felt a bit weird this one going first, but on reflection and watching it again, it really did set the tone for what Mania was going to be. And from what I heard from the commentators, I didn't hear it when we watched it together, but apparently Becky Lynch was like sick all week. Had like strep throat or something. I couldn't do it, to be honest. Especially not tear the house down like that either. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a good match. There's some really good spots in it. And I'm officially dubbing Becky Lynch's outfit. She's now Bookie Lynch. For like all of
Bookie Lynch, I love that.
For all eternity, she's now known as Bookie Lynch. But like, it was easy to like take the piss out of it. But Becky Lynch genuinely kind of did change women's wrestling. Not just her, but her and a lot of other talent like Charlotte Flair and stuff like that. But like, yeah, she definitely changed it for the better, and I think in some ways that match felt like it was kind of passing of the torch, I think, for Rhea Ripley. Yeah,
well, I definitely was. I was interested in the match, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of Becky. I think as much as, again, people are probably sick of seeing a champion hold a title now for nearly a year or over a year. They're getting bored of it, but I just didn't want to see Becky with a title, and I don't know. Like, it was a good match. Again, what you said, I feel like they hit the nail on the head. I'm glad Rhea got her moment with Motionless White because she's a massive fan of them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right, them singing, her entrance was amazing, and the match was actually really good. It was an all round well match, and as you quite rightly said, I think it set the pace for the rest of the event. Although some of the other matches kind of fell flat.
Yeah,
I definitely feel that it was a good opener for the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I think, it definitely set the tone. I think, like I said, the match itself was really good. Had some really good spots, I thought, and Rhea just did a really good selling a lot of that stuff. I don't think there was really any doubt that Rhea was going to come out with the win. I think you thought that it might.
I genuinely thought that Becky was winning it, and it was going to be Becky, however many belts she's won now. I thought Becky was going to win it. And I was just like, I can't believe this is actually how Rhea's going to lose it. And seeing her come out on top was a great surprise for me.
Yeah, I just think a lot of the title exchanges, in a way, kind of felt to me quite synonymous with how they were kind of trying to say that it's the start of a new era. And
yes,
Rhea keeping that title, she is the face of women's wrestling now in WWE. I think putting the title on Becky Lynch, although I think some people would have liked that because a lot of people are Becky Lynch fans, to me it made no sense for the company and what they're trying to do. I'm interested to see where it goes from there, though, to see who they actually set up for her to face. I know Raw, again, which we'll get to, they kind of had Liv Morgan in there, sort of in the mix.
I said this to you at Mania, though, as well. I was like, I feel like Liv will probably be the person to dethrone Rhea, because I think it was Rhea that injured Liv Morgan, so Liv was out for a year, and I feel like it's time for Liv to kind of come into place again and start showing, like, because Liv is a really good worker. I feel like she's really good for what she does. She's still, I think, quite young as well. She's like Rhea, I think, in her early 20s or mid 20s.
Okay.
So I feel like, again, they need somebody to be that person that can kind of like hold the torch for the company for a little while and be like, I'm a younger talent. Watch me go. Yeah. Although we all know what Becky Lynch is like. She is an amazing talent. Again, might not like her as much, but I can appreciate the work that she's put into the company, because, as you quite already said, it's people like her and Charlotte, Bayley, and again Sasha Banks that put in the work and the groundwork, especially for modern day women's wrestling, to make it more front light compared to what it used to be, where it was more of like the gimmicky matches and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we're so far removed from that now. Like,
Yeah,
I made some notes for SmackDown earlier. I'll just touch on it now quickly. But when Bayley came out to do her promo, and she was given that time on the mic, and I know obviously eventually it led to a match, but like the first thing that popped into my head was like, we have come so far from like bra and panty matches.
yeah,
But, like, it's so weird to me. I think that at points that was considered normal and
yeah,
okay,
or mud matches and stuff like yeah.
and like it never should have been that way. I know everything is a product of its time, but like just to see that it's taken somewhat seriously now, and I think I might get in trouble for saying this, but like the men's side of things will always be the biggest draw, I think. But yeah, it's nice to see that it's still there, and it's good as well. Like it's not just throwaway. And it felt like when Becky and Charlotte main event in Mania, it felt right. Like it didn't feel like this gimmicky thing to just throw in to say, oh, we did it. Like it felt earned to me.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. It's definitely come so far from, again, when I was younger, and probably you as well, where, as you quite rightly said, the gimmicky Playboy bunny whip on a stick match and that kind of shit. Like, it's nice to see that it's actually like a main event of WrestleMania again. Like we've had, who was it, Becky, Charlotte, and was it Ronda? That was the triple threat headliner for night one. Then we had...
I even forgot Ronda was in that match.
Yeah, yep. Quite a lot of people did. She was the one that took the pin, wasn't she?
Fair point,
and then we had the night, or the year after, it was it Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, who had their match as well. And it's good to see that women's wrestling starting to come so far from where it once started.
Yeah,
it's lovely. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, and I think I can only see that getting bigger as well. Jade Cargill's in the mix now. I've not seen enough of her wrestling to know whether she's actually any good or not. As like a spectacle, she is impressive. I will say that. But
yeah,
like
she looks like talent. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, again, if you're gonna go back in like the day when people was like, we need somebody muscly, tall, like looking like a Greek god. Like, you would always go for someone that physique. She's definitely got all the traits, but I definitely need to see more from her. Again, I've seen stuff in the past, and I'm not sold on it all that much. I wish I could be like, yeah, no, I'm 100% behind her. I don't know, because again, from some of her other matches, I know she just has like 3 moves and then she wins, and it's like,
yeah,
I need to see more. I don't want her to be built up like a Goldberg. In the aspect of she wins matches, 3 moves done, and then she's out. I want to see like her like get into like, I don't know, grapples and move sets. It's not just
exactly.
I come in, I slap you, I kick you, do my finisher, I'm out.
Well, that's the thing. Like it came to my attention after watching SmackDown today. We've actually seen her wrestle 3 times over WrestleMania week, and I still know very little about her actual talent. And I've never been the biggest fan of a squash match anyway, because I think that you're getting someone over to a certain extent, but if you ever want to do anything with that person that got squashed, you've kind of already cemented their legacy as a jobber.
Well, you say that though, but bear in mind, Daniel Bryan lost to Sheamus in 18 seconds at WrestleMania, the title a few years ago. So
very true.
You can't say that, because some talent will manage to thrive. But talking of squash matches, there's again Braun Breaker.
Yeah,
like, I feel like he needs these squash matches, because again, he's definitely going to be a future champion. There's no doubt about it. I don't know whether it be an IC or Universal title, or if they'll kind of go like, we'll fast lane you and get you into the main event kind of picture, because he's a great talent. Like, from what I've seen of him in NXT, he seems to be like the full package. He's great.
I see him going more IC route.
Yeah,
to be honest, I can't see him pushing for the world heavyweight or the undisputed yet. I don't think he's over enough to be doing that kind of stuff yet. But yeah, we'll see how that goes, I guess. I think, again, same with like Jade Cargill, he's impressive. And I think the bit in SmackDown where he was just how fast he ran the ropes, I was like, how is he moving that quick? That's especially for someone that size, that's hard to do. But yeah, we'll see how it goes with that. But yeah, so what match we had next? You had the six-pack ladder match, wasn't it?
The ladder match. The ladder match had some great spots in it.
Yeah, I mean that tornado DDT through the table.
Yeah, Johnny Gargano and Pete Dunne.
I probably blew the eardrums out when we were watching it, to be honest. I was just like, no way! Just lost my shit completely. But yeah, that match had some great spots. I think historically the ladder matches at Mania always have the best spots, to be honest. I'm glad that the titles are split, finally.
I am, but I'm not happy with who won them on both sides.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
I'm not. I agree with you. But I did also find out that R-Truth has never won at WrestleMania. So that kind of made me go a little bit still, like, that's a nice story.
Even still, I don't know. Win it at Backlash or something else. Just not a Mania.
I mean, I can't see him holding it for too long, to be honest.
I just don't like gimmicky wrestling, and I don't get me wrong, Truth deserves his flowers. He's been in the business for a very long time. He's had some of the worst gimmicks and made them work so goddamn well. But I just didn't want him and The Miz to win the titles, personally. I prefer Miz as a heel. Him as a face just never really interests me, unfortunately, because he's a great wrestler as well. Like, he's a workhorse. He's been doing it for so many years, only been injured like once. He's great at what he does, but I just didn't want him and Ron. I was going to say Ron Killen.
Ron, it's called him Big Ron.
Yeah, I didn't want him and Miz to win. I felt like DIY kind of deserve it a little bit more, because again, I feel like they've put on some amazing matches in NXT, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna get the DIY that we had back then now in Raw, and it's like, oh, okay. I guess.
I think they're on the track, though. They're going to get it at some point. I think, for me, I feel like the Mania probably was just there just to split them. I think, like I say, I can't see Awesome Truth holding it for long. I don't know if they'll drop it at Backlash. I think maybe that's a little too soon. But
I don't know if they've got a match at Backlash, to be honest with you. I don't know if any of the tag matches are at Backlash. They're starting to announce them now. So
have they?
Yeah. I believe they actually announced a tag match for SmackDown this coming week. I'll quickly have a look.
Okay.
You've got any?
Yeah, I mean, I think DIY get it eventually, and I think probably Pretty Deadly do as well.
I'd love Pretty Deadly to win it.
I think they get it eventually. I think it's hard, though, especially with a lot of the titles at the moment. It's hard really putting your finger on who's going to win them, because you got the draft coming up so soon. Like,
yes, you do.
It's really hard to go, okay, this person's in the running for this one, this one's in the running for that one, because you don't know who's going to be on what roster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably out of the teams in there, probably those two, I would say, are Pretty Deadly weren't even in it, but I think they're probably in the running for it. I think you said it when we were doing the watch party, though, that it was weird that Pretty Deadly wasn't in it.
But then they done the opening segment of announcing what the match is like and whatnot, which again was hilarious because they were just ripping the piss out of every single one of the teams. It was brilliant.
I did find Pete Dunne quite funny. That was pretty good.
Pete Dunne is brilliant, and I just feel like they need to pull the trigger with Pretty Deadly because they are an amazing tag team.
Yeah, and I mean they're pretty over as well with the crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are the two teams I think that are going to be pushing for titles moving forward. But I'm kind of with you in the sense that title going to Awesome Truth it's probably the only one I would say that didn't really fit in with the narrative of it being like a new generation or a new era. Because like you say, those two have been around for a very long time, and there's some good young talent even just in that match. There's some good talent that haven't been around for all that amount of time. But we'll see what happens. But like I say, it's hard to call with the draft coming up.
Yeah, no, you're right. You are completely right.
Did you manage to find the Backlash card?
No, I'm trying to find it and I can't find it for the life of me. I had it as well. I saw it earlier today. I was like, I'll put that to one side. It's gone.
No, you're fine. I think as well. I kind of felt like Judgment Day might have come out of that with one of them. It wouldn't have shocked me if they did. But then I think kind of most people assumed that Damian Priest was going to be cashing in at some point during that Mania.
I didn't think he was going to. I really didn't think he was going to.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was going to be one of them matches where he'll come and try cashing it in and it'll be a failed attempt. And I'm glad it wasn't because it was a really good pop.
Yeah, it was, to be fair. But I think them losing the tag titles for me kind of cemented that was going to happen. Because, when you put someone on a down course, they've just lost this, you're kind of expecting that to shift. It's the same with all the build up, but like Cody gets his ass kicked 3 Raws in a row just so he can win. You've got to break your heroes down before you can build them up. Not that Damian Priest is a hero in that sense. He's not a babyface, but when you see stuff like that, you can kind of point at it and go, okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah,
I found the tag match that's coming up this week for the SmackDown Championships.
Okay,
so it's a fatal 4-way. It's what's his name? Escobar's two goons,
the unforgettable ones.
I can't remember the names. I feel terrible. Them, Street Profits, AOP, and Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates are all fighting each other to get a #1 contenders match. Okay. It feels very weird. I don't get why AOP and I don't get this at all. Again, I'll probably get a bit annoyed about it, so I'm not going to bother talking about it. So I saw who's in it. I'm like, where's Pretty Deadly? They're not a part of this. Okay, cool. So why are we building them up to not even use them properly?
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense, to be honest. I mean, it's just kind of shit on everything we just said, didn't it? But maybe being pushed for one. I don't understand that. What's the point in having them do the opening segment and stuff? If you're going to put them in the consumer's mind, you need to use them. I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess. Cool. What match did we have next?
So after the what was it? After the
it was the Mysterio one, wasn't it? That's how forgettable that was. That match had no build, no nothing.
There was no point. I was hoping it would be Ray versus Dom. Ray putting his career on the line versus Dom versus his hair or some shit like that.
Yeah,
just something that has a bit of a build to it. But pass on me.
To me, it just felt pointless. Like, you had the Ray Dom stuff last WrestleMania. That was a nice little bow on that. They both went their separate ways for the most part. They still trash talked each other the whole year, but it felt like a good conclusion to that whole story.
Just shows up out of the blue to cost Ray. Like, why? What is the concept of this? Unless they're breaking Dom away from the Judgment Day and they're going to put him into another faction. But I feel like if they do that, it's kind of going to leave Dom as the main person, because if he gets put into this faction, I feel like he's the only one that kind of gets a reaction compared to all the others.
Yeah, I think for me, it just, even in terms of how he must be feeling on like a non-storyline perspective as well, like he's trying to do his best to escape his dad's shadow, because it's a pretty big shadow. You know, I quite like, as a wrestler, I think he's pretty good, Dominic.
For someone that's only been doing it for a few years, he's definitely come a very, very long way since he first started.
Yeah.
Do I think he's the best in-ring performer? No, but does he get a lot of stick? Like, is he like a really good heel? He's one of the best.
Yeah,
because the crowd boos are genuine. It's not like we're gonna pump in a noise. It's genuinely like people hate him, and it's great. But he's great. He's doing really well.
Yeah, I think in-ring performance-wise, like I say, he's only been doing it for a couple of years. He's bound to get better eventually. But like you say, in terms of him knowing how to get over, all the little like Eddie shuffles and stuff, it's great stuff. And instantly, as soon as he does it, the crowd, he's got him like that, like right in the palm, and he knows exactly what he's doing in that regard. And to me, I think a lot of people take that kind of stuff for granted. Like, it's easy to get cheap heat, 100%, but to me, he knows exactly when to do it.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I wonder who's in his ear teaching him this stuff, because it's not going to be Ray. Ray's not going to teach about how to get heat.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably people in the Judgment Day, to be honest with you. Like, I know they're actually a genuinely like a good bunch of mates. Like, I know Damian Priest was his like one of his like groomsmen.
Oh, okay.
At his wedding, so it's like not even like, oh yeah, we're friends. That I think they genuinely are a good bunch of friends, like outside of work.
I mean, you hear that a lot, don't you, in factions? That, you know, they all just kind of end up traveling together, and I think you have to, because you have to kind of gel as a team to be able to make it convincing. But no, I'm interested to see where he goes, because it can't. The Judgment Day aren't going to last forever. But like, I'm interested to know what his trajectory is. Yeah,
I agree.
Because I don't know. Like, I can't really point at anything and go, oh, okay, I can see him doing this. But then I think over time, maybe once he gets better as an in-ring performer, his ability to be a good heel, I can see it.
Yeah,
easily.
I can too.
We're going to move on from that match, because it weren't great.
And then he went in from... was it out of the fryer and into the flames? I didn't like this match at all.
I really didn't. I was so disappointed.
Belair, Jade, Naomi versus Damage Control. Six-man tag.
It was not.
No? Was it not next match?
It was the yes yeet, no yeet.
Oh, was it the USO match?
Apparently so.
Oh, well, yeah, that match sucked as well.
I was so disappointed.
It had so much potential. It had so much potential to be an absolute amazing match. They could have had an amazing moment with Rikishi coming out, trying to stop his sons from beating each other up, and then we're doing a dance routine or something along them. Like, that would have been a better finish, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
but
the
super kick, like, again, I know AEW gets stick for it, and I'm the first to call them out on that shit because I hate watching it. But yeah, it was way too many fucking super kicks. It was. I know it's their thing, but have a match, man.
Well, I said it when we were watching it, that to me, the super kick's supposed to be a finisher. Yeah. Every time you do that 10 times in a match, you just weaken that move. Just the complete and utter no sells of that move. It's just not good. But yeah, I think emotionally, like, that match had such good potential. Like, yes, that's been bubbling for years.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even when Sami Zayn was an honorary Uce, and everyone thought that it was going to be Jimmy that was going to turn or something, and it ended up being Jay. And that's been bubbling, like, since then. And to see it finally come together, I had high hopes for this match. I thought it was going to be really good.
So did I. I was really hoping for like a proper like battle, and it just felt very flat, very generic. It just felt like not even a good put together match. It felt very lackluster. I was just so disappointed. Very, very disappointed with this match.
Yeah, there was some good stuff in it. Like I thought when Jimmy did the whole fake surrender thing, that was quite good.
No,
not a fan.
Like that. No, I'd rather them just beat the crap out of each other, and then at the end, like like the best one I could probably go with is when Shawn Michaels turns to Flair and goes, "I'm sorry, I love you."
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest fan of Nature Boy. I really don't like him, but I genuinely felt upset because you saw the moment happen, and you could see the pain in Shawn Michaels' eyes, and then you could see like the sadness in Ric Flair's, and it was like, oh, that was chef's kiss.
I mean,
wrestling.
Again though, that was real. Like that was supposed to be Ric Flair's last match. I mean,
and then he went to TNA. But we won't talk about that one.
Off topic, very quickly. Did you watch Ric Flair's last match thing?
His last match.
It was fairly recently. It was like
the one with was it him and Jay Lethal versus him and Andrade versus Jay Lethal and no I did not. I didn't want to put myself again.
It's
I'm
torture.
I'm not the biggest fan of Ric Flair, but seeing a near what's he 70? He must be 70 now.
70s, I think. But honestly,
70-year-old man put himself through that stuff. It looked like he died at one point. I remember watching highlights, and he just laid flat for like 10 minutes out back while Andrade was doing most of the ring work. I was like, is he dead? Has he died on the side of the ring? Like,
I think he did, to be honest. I think at one point his soul just slipped away and it just came back. But like it was the bit where Andrade kept trying to put the brass knuckles on him, and he just didn't even know where he was, and he couldn't even grab them. And I was just like, this is bad. Like, if he dies here, there's going to be a lawsuit involved.
There's some matches that don't need to happen. Like, and again, I feel like I'd rather a wrestler not bother doing one last match, like a last hurrah, before they stop forever. I'd rather them just kind of go, we're going to have this match. Like, kind of like the Taker match. Again, did I like how him and Styles ended the match? No. I'd rather have seen it as a proper like technical wrestling match. But again, Taker probably couldn't do a whole match, unfortunately, anymore. So the fact that they done it the way they did, and then Taker drove off in his bike and the sunset was kind of like a nice like close on the chapter. Flair felt like he could do a whole 20-minute match and lasted 5, and then started to bleed out on the side. I was like, he's actually gonna die. Like, it was somewhat worrying.
I thought he was trying to just turn the movie The Wrestler into a reality, to be quite honest.
I've never watched it. I haven't watched it. I need to.
Spoiler alert for like a 10-year-old movie. Mickey Rourke essentially goes out to die in the ring, knowing full well he's gonna die. So pretty much the same thing.
Ric Flair's playing with fate then.
Yeah, but I just wanted to see if you'd watch that match because just completely as well. Just while we're on the topic, that promo of him and Jay Lethal from years ago, where Jay Lethal's pretending to be Flair.
The woo-off.
Peak.
Yeah.
Absolute peak. I love that. I think that's hilarious. I can't watch it without laughing.
Same.
But yeah, yeet no, yeet yes. Very poor match. I think
fully executed.
Yeah. I think you said it as well during the watch party. Like, Jimmy hasn't actually wrestled for quite some time.
He actually hasn't, and if he has, it's always been in a tag match with him and Solo. It just, again, where we've seen Jay rise to be like main event Jey Uso, and then Jimmy's just kind of on along with the bloodline stuff. And don't get me wrong, he's been doing great as being like the comedic value to the bloodline aspect of things, where I feel like once Sammy left, they kind of lost that aspect of it all.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of picked up the slack in that aspect and trying to always like high five Solo, and Solo just walked off. And he's like, carried on doing like a fist bump in the air, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a weird match seeing them two go at it, and one being having a title match, having an intercontinental match, having all these matches, and winning a tag title without his brother for the first time.
Yeah.
So then seeing the other one come in and being like, "You're right," it was like,
yeah,
why? Like, have him do something exciting, have him build up, like by getting a few wins, even if it's by cheating, just wins under his belt.
Yeah, and I think narratively, like he was never going to win that either. No. Like you say, with Jay doing all that stuff on the side, getting all the wins, all the titles and stuff, like you've kind of set yourself up narratively for Jimmy to never beat him.
Yeah,
to be honest,
100%. I feel like it kind of damaged his character a lot, because although again I would have liked for him to win, to be honest with you, because again, Jay's done so much, Jimmy's done nothing. To have Jay win and then have Roman lose, they could have done a whole nother storyline with the bloodline where Jimmy is like, oh well, I'm head of the table, I'm the only one that got a win at Mania, or some shit like that.
Yeah,
but they kind of just let him flounder like a fish and then get put through a table in night 2.
Yeah, and I think I'll probably want to touch on the bloodline stuff later when we get to the SmackDown segment, because I think some of the stuff they're doing is kind of interesting.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm kind of with you in that regard. But there were so many possibilities of where they can actually take that. I think a lot of people wanted The Rock to like take over his head, but like that's never going to happen because he's never going to be around enough to do it.
Well, I've heard rumors in the grapevine that there's potential that's going to happen.
I think
they're gonna.
Yeah, I think maybe like down the line I could see it, but I mean, even he came out on Raw and said that, like, you know, when I come back, I'm coming for Cody. Like, to me, that doesn't really indicate that it's going to be back for the bloodline.
Yeah, no, I've got a feeling it'll be Roman Cody at SummerSlam. I've got a feeling that'll be the SummerSlam headline match, and I don't know. I feel like Rock will not win it, but there'll be some interference. I have a feeling like egos will fly or something's going to happen. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah. I think, you know, bloodline stuff has genuinely been absolutely phenomenal. Like, I think,
it's been some of the best storytelling the WWE's done for so goddamn long.
Yep.
From making Roman with Jimmy, them two fighting, to then have him like submit and take the like lower role, and it's been great. It's just been so fucking good. It's nearly 5 years now since the bloodline kind of started.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's again one of them storylines that I know quite a lot of people are like, I'm so sick of seeing Roman and blah blah blah. Although it was a very long fucking title reign, I felt like it kind of needed to happen because they needed to cement again a modern day Hulk Hogan title reign, if that makes sense, because we haven't had one of them since Hogan, and I'm glad somebody's beaten Hogan's because he's a massive racist. So
fuck Hulk Hogan.
Fuck
I'll
Hulk
go on the
Hogan.
record for saying that.
But it's nice to see that Roman had that title reign again. I think it's like 39 defenses throughout the whole 1,300 days.
Yeah,
should have been more, 100%. Should have been more of a present figure, 100%. But his reigns and his matches were good. Some not so much, but I felt like they needed to kind of have this moment for Reigns and have him build a legacy. So when he does retire, it's not just, well, he's always going to be he's always going to be in the Hall of Fame, but a Hall of Famer in the aspect of, I've had this title reign, I beat Undertaker, I've done this, I've defeated Brock, he's done so much.
It's a hell of a resume.
Yeah, I definitely I respect him like enough to warrant him to have all these achievements, because again, I feel like him going heel was the best thing that's ever happened to him.
100%.
Him being a babyface wasn't it for me personally. I found him very dull, very boring on the mic. But since being paired with Heyman, I feel like his mic skills have gotten a lot better. I feel like his character has developed so much more. It's not just a one-dimensional kind of like Cena, like follow the straight line of being good. It's kind of gone from I'm going to be a heel to being a face to now being like a super heel. It's been great. I feel like it was needed. It was definitely needed for him.
Yeah, for sure. I think just thinking about where he came from, like the thing that I always come back to of Roman Reigns is that to me, he doesn't even seem like the same person from like just post Shield to now.
Oh,
I look at them as if they're completely different people. Like, it's weird, but the thing I always go back to, like say with his mic skills improving, that one where he's no, that's not the one for me. The one for me is the I'd like to declare for the Royal Rumble one, and then he just dead ass stares at the camera with this weird face afterwards because he doesn't know what to say. Like I always go back to that one, and you just look at him now, and you're just like they're just night and day. They're completely different. And I think like you touched on there, Paul Heyman's a massive part of that. I think
he's great.
I think for me, he's the best manager of all time. I think you can't even make an argument that he's not. Really, everybody he gets paired with gets turned to gold. And granted, you could argue that some of them were on the golden path already, but would they have gotten there that way if he wasn't a part of it?
True.
I mean, Brock's just always going to be Brock, but the CM Punk stuff he did was good.
Was really good.
You know,
maybe not the Ryback stuff, but you know,
I mean, it's Ryback.
and what's the name? Was it Charlie? He's $1 Million Man's son. I can't remember him. Is it Ted DiBiase?
Yeah,
no,
Ted.
I can't even.
You had Ted DiBiase, did you? I can't remember the other one though.
Can't even remember his fucking name, but yeah, him. He was a Paul Heyman guy for like 10 minutes, and that fell flat, unfortunately.
But yeah, I think he's absolutely phenomenal. His mic skills himself are just great. I think I made some notes for some of the promo stuff that he did in SmackDown, which again we'll get to later on. But just some of, he's not even a wrestler, but he sells stuff so well, and he just like you can't argue with the guy's talent. But I wonder what would have happened with Roman Reigns had he not have been paired with Paul Heyman. I think that's a very interesting what if scenario.
Very one-dimensional character, be a Super Cena like usual. May have had the title reign, but not as long. And don't know. I just think,
But I think without the bloodline, though, I don't think that
would never have happened.
No, and I think even like stuff we're looking at now, of I don't think Cody Rhodes finishing the story would have been as compelling if he didn't have such a good villain to go up against.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
But yeah, I mean, we'll get to the Cody stuff later on because I think that's just a topic that's definitely worth discussion. But yeah, so next match was the Jade Cargill squash match.
Yep, pass.
We're just going to skip over that one, to be honest. I think we've kind of already touched on it.
Again, where women's wrestling has been thriving, I felt like this match was very damaging in some aspects. Because, like, don't get me wrong, it was nice to see like them using all the main wrestling talent at the moment, but to see Damage Control lose yet again, I think they're one of the worst factions to have like a win to loss ratio. They don't ever win a match, especially when Bayley was a part of it. Like Bayley was losing week in and week out, and then she won the Rumble, and then it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think as well, there's some really good wrestlers in there. Like Asuka's great, when she was back in, Japan and stuff like that. She's just really fucking good. And I think even coming into WWE, I think she was really good. But for me, like, I don't know about you, but it feels like the WWE doesn't actually know how to promote Japanese wrestlers. Like,
they've gotten better. They've gotten so much better because, like, bear in mind, like Shinsuke now, I know compare him to New Japan, it's night and day, as you quite rightly said a couple of times to me privately, or not even privately, just like in general chit chat. But I feel like with Shinsuke now, they're actually letting him do his promos in Japanese. It's not like him trying to speak English and it being very broken in the aspect that it's not his first language and he's trying to form the sentences, but it's not coming out as good. It's nice to see that WWE are kind of letting him go, you know what? We know you don't speak English. Speaking your native language. Even on the mic, you've heard Oscar shout at people in Japanese and only speak Japanese throughout an entire promo now. And it's like, like again, 5 years ago, you would probably never seen that. It would probably be Oscar going, I'm going to win. And that'll be all you get from it. And it'll be like, oh, okay. But now it's just her speaking Japanese. You don't know what's going on, but you can see like body language kind of speaks louder than words half the time. And you can see when someone's angry and pissed off. And I think that when she's on the mic, she can definitely show it. But
I think, no, go on.
No, that's it really.
Yeah, but I mean, like you just sort of said about Shinsuke there. Like for me, prior to Shinsuke coming to WWE, I was so hyped when he got announced for WWE because I love Shinsuke. I think he is absolutely phenomenal. But for me, what made him so good in New Japan isn't any of like promo stuff. It's the fact that he could sell a match and sell a story in the match using body language, being an he's full of charisma, that guy, and just absolutely selling everything, whether that be offense, you know, getting hit, selling things. He I said to you, you said you'd watched it, the AJ Styles Shinsuke match at the Wrestle Kingdom. Like that, for me, is like one of the best matches I've ever seen. And there's no talking in that. There's no promos in that.
True.
I get that that's technically not what the WWE product is. Like, you know, it's more so storylines than the actual wrestling. I think most people would agree that the actual wrestling is probably better outside of WWE.
Yeah.
But it just irritates me that they get these phenomenal talents and they sign them, but then they just don't know what to do with them. And I think that happens a lot when it comes to wrestlers that have come from Japan. I think, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
definitely agree.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll just skip over that match because I think we've kind of already touched on the whole Jade Cargill situation. But the next match for me, match of the night, easily, Sami Zayn Gunther. Such a good match. I think we dipped off the call before we ended up watching that.
We did.
But yeah, it's just phenomenal. Like the story that match took you on, and I had no inkling that Sami Zayn was going to walk out with that title. I'd 100% expect Gunther to just roll him, and it kind of was the story that they were telling. And to have that flipped 180 completely, such a good payoff for that match.
But okay, quick one. Do you feel like Sammy should have been the person to knock him off?
Probably not.
Of his, I genuinely wanted Chad versus Gunther at Mania because the two matches they had prior was some of the best matches I've seen Chad Gable put on. In a very, very, very long time since was it American Alpha? Him and Jordan versus like FTR was impeccable. It was some of the greatest tag matches I've seen, and I was hoping it was his time to shine. And then seeing Sammy win it, although I'm happy to see Sammy win it because again, Sammy's put in a lot of work, especially again with the Bloodline storyline. He continued it after with Roman. I felt like it was great, but did Sammy need it there? No. Did Chad? Yes.
Yeah.
Chad's never held a singles title.
Has
never.
He not?
Nope. Not even like anything in NXT.
That seems wrong.
It's tag titles. That's his only thing he's held, and I thought, you know what, this is his time for it. I can't wait to see him win it. And then they were like, "Oh, Sammy's won." I was like, "The fuck!" Like, why did Sammy win it? And again, I get Sammy's a great worker. I love his work.
I think he's phenomenal.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's amazing, but I don't feel like he should have had that win. I feel like it should have been Chad in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree with you. The match itself in a bubble, fantastic. But in terms of the bigger picture and where that ends up going, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it should have been Sammy to take it off of Gunther. And I think, the reign that Gunther's had has been great. Is he now the longest holding?
Longest holding Intercontinental Champion. I think he now's placed first or third.
Yeah, I think it would be. But yeah, I think you're kind of getting into like this territory of like, okay, well, who do we need to put over with this? And yeah, I don't know how that much about Chad Gable. I mean, I've seen his matches and stuff like that, but like I've never really like proper tuned in to like what he's been doing, or really dialed in when he's had his matches and stuff like that. From what I've been made aware and just the little bits I've seen, he is really good. But do you think he ends up getting it?
Well, it's him versus Sammy, I believe, this week on Raw.
Yeah, but sure, you can't drop it straight away, surely.
Unless unless Chad becomes heel and cheap shots him or loses and then becomes a heel afterwards.
Yeah,
that's the only way I can possibly see it. But I don't know. I'm really unsure what they're going to do with him, because again, they went through the whole Rocky Balboa promos with him and Sammy, and again, it was all well and good, but I don't know. I don't feel like. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I really don't know.
Yeah, like I said, in a bubble, the match I thought was great, and I think having his wife at ringside really helped with that as well. Like the way the camera kept panning to her, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but I think that when you have the family members at ringside, surely they don't know what the outcome's going to be.
I don't know.
I would be surprised, because I think a lot of the time it would make sense to not tell them, because then the reaction's real.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm not actually too sure.
I'd be interested to know that, to be honest. But yeah, I don't really know what they're going to do with the IC after this. I personally, I don't see the title changing hands, not on a pay-per-view. I think to kind of have Gunther drop the title to Sami Zayn and then
having him lose it like 10 days later.
Exactly. It cheapens the whole thing. And I think old WWE probably would have done that. Vince would have done that. But I can't see it, to be honest. I think if you're going to use that to get someone over, you kind of need to use it.
Yeah, I agree.
But we'll see. It's not too long away. It's only tomorrow.
Yep, true.
But yeah, so that gives us to the main event for the Saturday night.
You know what? I didn't watch it.
Or at all.
Well, didn't watch it at all.
It was good.
I don't know. I just had very little interest in it, and I think the reason I did is, as bad as it sounds, because of The Rock. I had no interest, and I kind of knew they weren't going to have him come out and lose, or have Roman lose night one and then have him lose night two.
No.
So they made the whole deal out of the bloodline rules. Oh, it's bloodline rules if he wins. I was like, oh, we already know it's going to be fucking bloodline rules now, isn't it? It's not like a mystery of what's going to happen here.
Yeah, but I think that kind of is interesting though, because giving it bloodline rules probably helped Cody win it in the end, like with all the interference and stuff. If that was not in there, who would he won? I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was a really good match. I think The Rock actually pinning Cody set stuff up for the future as well. They touch on it in the Raw promo segment where, it's like, okay, you beat Roman, but you didn't beat me, essentially.
And the that bit I was kind of confused about, because again I saw the highlight of that and it was like, "Don't you break my heart again" or some shit like that. I'm like, the fuck, you're literally cussing him out 2 weeks ago. Now you're telling him not to break your heart. Like, what?
That whole segment for me was just strange.
Yeah,
I think a lot of probably what he's said hinges on what he actually put in his hand. I've seen a lot of theories floating around that some people think it was a lighter, so that it's hinting at the fact that it was him that set Cody's tour bus on fire.
I fucking hope it's not. If it is, I
mean, there's other things as well. Like, I think someone said about how, because Cody got everyone Rolexes that had like a 40 in them.
Yeah.
I think some people are saying that he gave his back as well.
Maybe.
But I don't know. That whole segment was just weird to me.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. Like, I must admit, as soon as I watched it, because I watched it after the fact, I didn't watch it live, I was immediately on Google, like, what did he give him? What did he give him? I need to know. I'm just looking up all the theories. And to me, like, that's kind of what you want from, like, your Raws and stuff like that, is like, oh, I can't wait to actually find out what the fuck is going on. Like, who, like, you know, the whole thing of, like, when Stone Cold got ran over, it was like, who was it? It ended up being Rikishi, but the less said about that, the better. But yeah, like, that whole thing of, like, just making you want to tune in for the next one and be like, okay, well, what's actually going on? Like, well, I know we're probably not going to get answers to that for the better part of a year, but, like, it's still interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I think the main event was really good. There was a lot of false finishes and stuff like that, and I think ultimately Cody had to lose. Like, there was no way that he was coming out of that winning. And I think if he did, it's just a foregone conclusion that he wasn't going to win night 2. But then vice versa, I think him winning, to me, it definitely telegraphed that he was probably going to win the night 2. Similar to what I said previously, where it's, you need to put your heroes through hell to have them shine at the end. And that's a shame, because I think in a way the two main events being them helped a lot in terms of the build and things like that, but it's also a double-edged sword where it's, to me, I don't know about the general public or anything like that, but to me it felt very telegraphed for what was eventually going to happen. Yeah. Really. I thought as a whole, the first night of Mania, the start and end were very good. The mid was aptly mid.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I think as a whole, like, I definitely was still really excited for the second day. Like, I didn't come out of it like, oh, I don't know.
No, I didn't. Again, more like, I didn't watch the semi-match day 1. I watched it on my way into work the next day, and I was like, you know what, this was a good match. I'm gutted I missed this, because it was definitely good. And again, I heard that the Roman Rock, Sammy Cody match was good, but again, I was just like, I don't really want to watch this one, because I kind of know what's the outcome.
Yeah, and I think Seth being a part of that match as well is interesting. I think in a weird way, like, Seth is kind of quite forgettable in that whole storyline, but, like, he actually has a stake in it, like, you know, being in the Shield and stuff like that. But
yeah, I definitely feel like he shouldn't have been a part of it, though. There's a part of me that's like, I don't get why he's gotten involved in it. Like, I don't know. I just felt very like, oh shit, we got Rock, we got Roman. No one wants Rock versus Roman. Fuck it, we'll have a tag match. So I get Seth involved somehow. Like,
I think
I don't know.
It definitely makes sense when you take it in context for what happened on night 2, and why Roman ends up losing that match and stuff like that. I think that makes more sense. But then, did he necessarily have to be in night 1 for that? Could he still just have been one of the ones that came down?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It just felt very, very peculiar.
Yeah, and I think narratively as well, like it would have been more interesting for me to actually have it just be a handicap match. Like, you know, you kind of going into it like, she's going to lose. He's against The Rock and Roman Reigns. And when it happens, you're not shocked. Like, you're not kind of like, okay, well, surely he's going to win the next night now. Like, because you expected him to lose anyway, because he's against The Rock and Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Seth being in it, for me, made sense for night 2. And how that all ends up shaking down, which we'll get to when we get to that. But then we had the Sunday. What was the first match on the Sunday?
It was Seth versus Drew.
Of course it was. Let me load that up quickly.
Which was very good. A good match. It was nice to see Drew getting his moment.
Yeah. My thoughts on it, though, when I was watching it, was I fucking hate CM Punk on commentary. I thought he added nothing. He was so whiny, just moaning about everything.
He does it all the time, though. Like I've seen him do it in AEW prior. Like he's just a dick on commentary. And again, some people might not want to see it or be like, you know what, but I find it hilarious. I really do find it funny when I see him on commentary and he's just shit talking Drew and Seth, because he didn't like them both, so he's like, oh yeah, what is the fuck with all these people that are walking around, like just ripping into everything about them. It was great.
Yeah, I think CM Punk being a part of that makes sense. Like, I think there's clearly actual hatred there, and I think it was used really well in terms of actually telling a decent storyline as well. I've not asked you this yet, but what actually are your thoughts on CM Punk? So,
Punk, again, once was one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He definitely was up there. Again, I know he's got a lot of stick for having a bad attitude, and it's kind of present. We all know this is the case. He's very vocal. If he doesn't like something, he'll try getting it stopped or make it not happen.
Yeah.
E.g. the whole Jack Perry situation with All Out. He had a fight with the Elite, which, it's hard because, again, Punk is a great draw, but his attitude's shit. Yeah. And it's a shame because, again, he's such a likable character, but then when you know what he's like out back, it's like it kind of takes away the aspect of wanting to like him so much when you know he is a dick. But yeah, I think we're going to talk a bit more about the whole all-in incident later.
Yeah, I think I'll probably shelve most of that for then, but like my thoughts on CM Punk are that he's one of the biggest draws in wrestling. You can't deny it. Like, whenever he turns up, people give a shit. But there's no smoke without fire, and there's clearly a common denominator amongst all of this. And as much as what we'll talk about later vindicates some stuff, I think that that's just a very, very small piece of the pie when it comes to CM Punk. And for me, when he always says he's the best in the world, I kind of don't agree with him either. I think there are a lot of better in-ring performers than what he is or has been. And
I agree, but when it was his time in WWE and he was like the main draw, I definitely would say he was one of the best in the world, because he got the audience. I don't think it's more in the sense of his wrestling ability, because his moveset isn't the biggest in the world, but to draw a crowd and get people hooked, he definitely was in that aspect. Like, the best way I can describe it is like how Becky Lynch was kind of plotting around, doing really nothing. Then she got punched in the face, broke her nose by Nia Jackson, and referred to herself as the Man. No one would have recognized Becky as being a badass unless that happened.
Fair point.
And again, same with CM Punk with the pipe bomb. He was vocal. He shot everything down. He blew WWE out the water in some aspects.
Oh yeah, it was huge.
Again, we've never heard people shit talk back a house like
No,
he did,
no.
and he done things that was quite revolutionary. He was an amazing athlete for what he was doing. He's amazing talent. He got people interested in what he was doing, and then again, I definitely say he was the best in the world in some retrospects, but he wasn't the, like, if you could go by, like, again, New Japan, there's plenty of others that are, again, much more technically gifted than he is. He's good, and I'd say best in the world. Once was, now not so much.
Yeah, I mean, the pipe bomb was huge. Like, I remember when it happened, and just like everybody in wrestling and outside of wrestling was like, was that a shoot? Was that real? Like, did he actually get his mic cut off? Like, was any of that scripted? Obviously, with hindsight, we know it was now. But, like, at the time, you putting yourself in that position, you were just like, I can't tell. I genuinely cannot tell one way or the other whether it is or isn't. And I think a lot of it, like you say, is revolutionary in some way. Like, I think a lot of the way that AEW goes about their promos and stuff now, where them being much more feeling like a shoot and stuff like that, definitely probably wouldn't have happened without stuff like that. I think it's definitely laid the groundwork for a lot of that kind of stuff. But again, it goes back to what I was saying previously, where, like, to me, the best storylines in wrestling are always rooted in what's real. And
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was just interested to know what you thought about CM Punk, to be honest, because I think a lot of people care what people think about him. You're always going to get people in both sides of the camp when it comes to him, and I think to me he still is probably one of the biggest draws in wrestling, and I can't see that changing anytime soon. I think the match in general as well, with, like, at the end, that kind of felt real for a moment when Drew got on the table and stuff, and I was like, what's he saying to him? Like, is he actually like being a dick to him? And I was like, is this real? And then when CM Punk piped back and was like, well, why are you talking to me then? Like, it looked so real. I was like, oh, shit, like, is this really happening?
It did make me laugh. Again, I know you didn't like him on commentary, but the aspect where he was like, I can't even hear what you're saying, you idiot. I've got a headset on.
Yeah, that was funny.
It caught me off guard so badly. It was just like, I can't even hear what you're saying. I was just like, fair play. He's not wrong. So
I did laugh as well when Drew turned to the camera. I was like, I want this mounted on my wall. This is great. It's good stuff. And fucking Drew tweeting in the middle of the match as well.
During the match, midway through the match.
I was like, what the fuck is he doing with that phone? And obviously later on I saw that he tweeted bored at work, lol. I was just like, so good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. He's a great worker, and again, I know he hasn't signed a contract yet with WWE, and it's getting to that point now. I think his contract's up in like 2 months. I don't know if he's going to sign, and
I don't think he will.
The thing is, I don't want him to go to AEW.
No,
I really don't. And the reason being, again, I spoke about it earlier. They sign everyone. They sign so much fucking talent that is a very bloated roster at the moment.
Yeah,
because again, they signed Will, and I'm happy for him. But they signed Okada, Jake White. Who else have they signed? They like in the past year.
Got Sasha Banks in you as well.
Sasha, yeah, they signed another guy from New Japan. I can't remember his name, and I'm probably gonna get shot down by all the AEW mercs. And
There's too many to remember. That's the thing. Like, just every other week, it seems like they've signed someone else, and I think it's a lot of what happens. A lot of what is kind of indicative of their downfall as well. Like, they just hoovering up talent wherever it comes available, and I think it was CM Punk who said it in that interview, like, that company will continue to exist as long as Tony Khan wants to pump money into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of what's happening, isn't it, with all the talent and stuff. I mean, I don't know whether Drew will go there. I think it's getting squeaky bum time in that regard, 100%.
I think he will. I genuinely think he will go and join them at All In. He'll be a UK moment, he'll come out on the big stage and he'll get all the
Yeah.
pyro and stuff, and it'll be a big pop.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to go to AEW. I'm genuinely concerned for talent that does go there, and it sounds a bit over the top, but again, people like Jake White, who was a world champion in New Japan, honestly, what has he done since he's joined AEW? He's still part of the Bullet Club, Bullet Club Gold. He's
no
now
one cares about that faction anymore, though.
He's a what's it? I think he's a Ring of Honor tag champion at the moment.
Yeah, I think he
tag
is.
Champs. They haven't defended them titles at all. He had a title match against MJF and lost to somebody that was theoretically one-armed and had a bad back and a bad leg. He literally lost to a guy like who could barely fight, barely stand up. I just feel they have a lot of talent that can make amazing matches, but because it's so jam-packed, it's like people kind of fall through the cracks a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's, again, people like them, like him, and who else can I say? Like, I personally think the House of Black aren't getting used as good as they could do.
Well, there's rumours they might be coming back, to be fair.
Well, I hope they do. I really do, because I know Malachi was really, really fond of Triple H's work in NXT.
Yeah.
And so was Buddy Murphy. They were both really big Triple H guys, and he kind of let them have their own collective freedom to do what they wanted and as they pleased. So I would like to see him back in WWE personally, but
yeah, I think for me, I agree with you. Like, I think in terms of the roster, I get excited that AEW stars are coming to WWE, but not the other way around. Like, I think it just says a lot, though, doesn't it? That, like, you see someone potentially going over to AEW and you just think to yourself, is that the best move for you? Like,
yeah, like Edge.
Oh, God, yes.
I genuinely feel like he should have went to New Japan or done a run in TNA.
Anywhere
just something.
else.
I feel like it's been very boring, very bland, and just seeing him come out now, I'm like, sick. Like, there's nothing, like, I can't sit there and be like, oh my God, it's fucking Edge. It's like, I think he's in a triple threat match with against the House of Black with Eddie Kingston and one of the what's the brothers called? One of them passed away. The Brute. I can't even say.
Yeah. I know who you mean.
Yeah.
I can't guess the name either. But yeah, like the Edge stuff when he'd got over there, even when he announced it, I was like, this is not gonna end well. Like, you should have just left well enough alone. I think, like, you had a really good moment at the end with the WWE stuff. You probably should have just called it there. If you were really hankering to carry on, like, either stay where you were or just go anywhere else.
Yeah,
because I just can't see how AEW would even use someone like him. Like, he's not, to me, he's not really AEW material. Like, he's too. He's never going to get on the mic and do like a shoot promo.
No,
not to the level that some of them do. And I don't.
He's openly said that he doesn't want to shit talk WWE as well. He says, like, that's a place that gave me my career, and he's like, I'm not going to badmouth it. I know people like Jericho have kind of had digs at WWE a couple times since, but it's like, I don't ever see him coming in going, yeah, fuck the other brand. I know he said this is a place where professional wrestling is happening, and it is to a certain level. But
I don't agree with it anymore, though. I think at the time maybe, but not now.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like it's very, very just one-dimensional. I keep saying it, but it's just so boring to see everyone and their mother be a part of AEW when it's like, oh, the contract's up. Where they're going? Oh, they're signed there.
Yeah, and I mean, to be monetarily, like, they're probably the only outfit that can put out somewhat competitive wages when it comes to what WWE would offer.
Yeah, a lot of money.
yeah.
I think Sasha is currently on like a 4 mil contract with them.
It wouldn't shock me.
And I think the other guys are like, I think Will's on a multi-million-dollar contract. I think Okada's on a 4 mil contract.
It's not sustainable though, is it? For the
not
the size of company that they are. They shouldn't be getting into contracts like that.
They're not selling out shows either. It's week in, week out. Like, I see on Twitter quite a lot of people like tweeting like, look at the crowds, look at the size, and it's like, surely this is like before the actual thing, and then they'll take a video of it midway through the event, and I'm like, shit, this is genuinely how quiet AEW crowds can get. And
pretty bad.
I know WWE isn't a fucking saint for it, because there's been times when there'd be the hard camera shots where it would keep away all the empty seats, but it just seems to be a common thing now with AEW, where it's every week you look at the venues that are getting posted and there's no one there, and it's kind of concerning in that aspect, because you're like, how are they going to adjust this? How will they work around it? Because it's just getting more and more, and again, I feel like
I think the only answer for that is for Tony Khan to swallow his pride and book smaller arenas. I don't think he will, but I think that's the only answer. Like, they're clearly not driving people in with the product. Like, if they were, people would be there. And I think I just can't see it changing. As much as it sucks, I'm just seeing all the signs for like WCW all over again. Not that I fully comprehended it.
You mentioned it earlier, and I was going to talk about it briefly, but I'll talk about it now. I feel like with what they've been doing as of lately, it just seems to be very WCW-esque, where they showed the footage from All In. Like, again, does it really need to be shown? No. They could have done something like stupid, the Young Bucks, in the aspect of like taking the piss out the Revival, like, or being heels. They actually showed the footage of something that's happened 8 months ago, and again, I don't condemn what Punk did, but Punk openly said like, I pushed him or I slapped him or something and then put him in a headlock. What Punk has kind of said has all been true. He's not been shy in what he's done. Do I think it's right? No, I think it's fucking stupid because of a comment that was made about Real Glass and Crimea River about it. I think it's fucking hilarious that he done that moment.
Yeah,
but I just feel like them actually showing the footage. Was it needed? No, not at all. And I feel like it's a very WCW move, where they would get the tapings and be like, yeah, so Monday Night Raw, the results of this match is the following, blah, 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 blah. It just feels like they're doing the same. And it just seems to be that WWEI in AEW's head rent free.
Yeah, 100%.
You'll hear more wrestlers shit talk WWE on the live promo. Like, Hunter's mentioned it a couple times, like during the press events. Like, I know he said like, oh, if you can't work a full schedule, you're not right for here.
But he never named anyone, did he?
No, he didn't. But Will Ospreay took offense to it and said a comment about him. And I just feel like it's every fucking week you'll hear an AEW star have to say, oh yeah, well, the other brand, go to the other brand if you're not happy here. It's just like, people will. Like,
well, they are.
I genuinely thought MJF was going to leave, and I thought he was going to show up on Monday.
I have interesting news, actually. I did save it for the news segment, but I'll bring it up now. So, MJF has been completely scrubbed from the AEW website.
Yeah,
he's not on there. All of his merch is gone. Yeah, I think he's WWE bound. I really do.
I don't know. I really don't.
Where's he going to go, though?
I think he's staying with AEW, but again, he's going to be a part of this boring fucking storyline with Adam Cole and the fucking Undisputed Era, or whatever. Undisputed United Kingdom. I don't fucking know what they're called. Like, I've lost so much interest in that storyline. Again, I really tried to get back into AEW because, again, I liked Adam Cole as wrestler. I think MJF's an amazing heel.
Oh, he's great.
And then when he became like the anti-protagonist, where he's like, I might screw you over, I'm not going to, kind of thing. Brilliant. But then the fucking devil stuff, it was a load of shit. Everyone kind of like, it doesn't take someone with 2 brain cells to go, oh, that was Adam Cole. Like,
yeah,
it was so boring. And now they've got this group that they've got banded together. And I think they've said that they're going to get Warlow to win the title, then give it to Adam Cole. I'm like, what the fuck is this pass the parcel? It sounds like some Hulk Hogan kind of shit back in WCW.
Yep.
It Kevin Nash and Hogan, and what are they going to do? Him fucking like poke him and him drop down? Like, why is this fucking happening?
We joke about it, but like, I genuinely wouldn't be shocked if, like, verbatim, they just copy that whole thing of him just laying down and Adam Cole taking it. I really wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah, just they need to sort something out. There needs to be more work to it because the storylines just aren't there, and I feel like the matches just come out the blue. It's like, oh, like, don't get me wrong, I understand you don't need to have a build up for a good match. We all know this. You can have a fucking AAA match with no build up, but it just feels like every week it'll be like, next day it'll be like, oh, fucking, we're gonna have. It sounds like Tony Khan goes on fucking WWE's like randomizer and goes, right, fucking throw all my names in. Okay, we're gonna have Orange Cassidy versus John Moxley.
Yeah.
Why? What relevance does that have right now in the company?
I think that's
none.
Like you said there, that you don't need a good build up to have a good match, but it's saying what you're actually going to do with that match. Like, what are you going to use it for, a setup? Like, are you actually going to make it build to anything?
I agree.
But like, for me, like, the wrestling itself, it is better in AEW, but the storylines are dog shit, and WWE are like light years ahead of what anything coming out of AEW is. Like, I remember when Bray got released from WWE for the first time. Well, the only time. And there were so many rumours that he was going to go to AEW, and I was just like, please no. Please don't go there. Your whole thing does not work there. It would
never have worked.
Like, yeah, you had really Brody go over and stuff, but, you know, to me it was just...
I thought it worked for Brody. I felt like Brody actually made something of his own little...
But it was his own, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But,
he done his amazing work there, but
yeah, if Bray would have went over, never would have worked.
No.
He needs that bigger thing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, he would have had the creative freedom to have done it a lot sooner, but would it have worked? No, because who would he have worked with? Like,
well,
I don't know.
I know you said you haven't watched the documentary, but the gist I got from it as well is that although he was an absolute visionary, a lot of people behind the scenes had to keep him on track. He would very easily get snowballed into this other idea, and I think Triple H and stuff had to keep him on a track, on a path, like, to some extent, because I think if not, a lot of his ideas probably would have just unraveled. I don't think he would have got that at AEW. They would have just let him go ham at it. But yeah, I think I personally want to see MJF at WWE. I think he would be very good. I think they could set some pretty interesting stuff up with, like, him and Cody and stuff like that. Him
and Punk. Like, they could have had the match that we've all kind of wanted for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I want it to happen. I think I might be reaching for straws a little bit with the whole taken down on the website and stuff that he is.
Yeah.
But I just kind of want it. I just kind of want to see him there. I think they'd have to tone him down quite a lot, to be honest, because he's a little bit, not problematic, but he's a little bit vocal, shall we say. But I want to see it, personally. But yeah, next match, We've got to be on a bit of tangent there. Sorry, guys, but never mind. Anyway, next match. We had Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament.
Again, didn't care. Don't care for Killian Cross, unfortunately. Like,
agreed.
The excitement he had during his NXT run the first time was there, and then he got let go. Oh no, he didn't get let go. He went to main roster and had the really weird gimpy mask that Vince gave him, and he hated it, and he was like, "I'm not doing it," and then got let go because he was disobedient.
Problematic.
And then they rehired him again, and then he came out with the hourglass, and it was during Drew and Roman having a promo, if I'm not mistaken. I think he attacked Drew, put the hourglass down for Roman, and they were like, it was like, oh, this looks interesting, and then nothing happened with it. It was just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm glad this happened. Cool. And it just fell flat. And ever since then, I don't feel like he's ever really gotten his foot in properly. And then Bobby Lashley and Street Profits. Again, Bobby Lashley's a very good wrestler.
Yeah.
Not my favorite. Again, I'll watch his matches, and I think the Street Profits deserve to be a lot higher on the bill than they should be, in the sense of a tag team. They are very good.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Ford is a lot better, in my opinion. And I feel like he has the potential to be a world heavyweight champion in the future. He deserves a good run with a solo title. But yeah, the match just felt kind of, again, a throw together. I know they've had their beef and whatnot, and it felt like a match that could have easily happened on the end of a SmackDown instead of a WrestleMania card match.
I think the only thing I probably actually liked about the match was the Bubba stuff. But then I think that the Bubba stuff...
I just felt very, again, throw together. Like, it felt very, like, I don't get why they did the Bubba Ray stuff.
I genuinely think the only reason is because Paul Heyman got inducted into the Hall of Fame and they needed to have some ECW moment. I genuinely think that is the only reason. So that they could have him just go get the tables.
Yeah, but... was it needed?
No, not really.
Was the match needed?
No, not really. But again, though, it's just kind of like what we said earlier, where what are you doing with it? Like, if you're going to have this match, why? What are you going to use it for to build on? I think that's gone nowhere. There was no build up for it, and there's not going to be anything coming out of it either. But yeah, then we had your darling, AJ Styles and LA Knight.
My boy.
I thought it was alright. I think it was great.
Again, it was a build up to it that just felt I feel like the build up was a lot better than the match itself.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Agree. Like, they had the whole invasion moment with Styles getting his home broken in by LA Knight.
I did love that. That was good.
And stuff like that. It was great. Like, the build up to it was amazing, because it kind of reminded me of, like, you know, when Triple H broke into Randy Orton's house? Or
I was going to say that. Yeah,
it felt very along. Yeah, it felt like along the lines of that. But again, the match itself weren't for me. If I'm to be honest with you, I can't even remember much about the match. I know LA Knight won. He needed it more than AJ, yes, but again, for me being a massive AJ Styles fanboy, I wanted Styles to win.
Yeah. I mean, AJ's great. Like, he is just a phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
He's nearly 50. Like,
no, he's not.
Yeah, I think he's like, how old is it? I think he's.
How is he like the same age as R-Truth? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
He has been around for a while, though, to be fair.
But yeah, he's 46 years old.
That's kind of nuts.
And again, seeing what he does in the ring as a 46-year-old man.
Oh yeah.
I think he's currently the same age as Flair was when he was doing his last run in WWE.
That can't be right. I remember Flair looking like a raisin then. To be honest. I think the only thing I actually remember from that match is the backdrop on the exposed floor.
Yeah. Yeah, but Yeah, was it needed? Again, not really. It was just the match got together for Mania.
Yeah, I think it's just to get LA Knight over, isn't it? It's to get LA Knight a match at Mania where he goes over. I'm interested to see what they do with it with the rematch coming next week.
Yeah, for the number one contenders match, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that it's going to be him or LA Knight against Cody at Backlash is interesting.
But here's the thing that, again, now this is where it's kind of... I don't see why this is happening, because either AJ's going to win, and it's just going to make the WrestleMania match very redundant.
Yeah.
Unless AJ cheats to win, we're going to get Styles versus Cody, which will be a great match, yes.
That would be a great match.
But we kind of know the outcome. Cody's not going to lose the title at a Backlash ever.
No
so
chance.
It's going to, again, damage Styles' character. And then if LA Knight wins, which I don't think is going to happen.
He's not ready for it.
He goes into this main event at Backlash versus Cody and loses. It just damages his character.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So there's no win-win out of this. I would have rather it had been Kevin Owens versus Styles, because Kevin Owens is on a bit of a lose streak at the moment. So I would rather have seen that, or have Randy Orton versus AJ, where again Randy Orton's come off of a loss, Styles has come off of a loss. That neither one of them two have much to gain in the aspect of this win, and then we know we're going to get a good match at Backlash. So
I think the only way this is salvageable is if LA Knight wins, then obviously it's him, Cody at Backlash, and AJ gives Cody the win at Backlash with a DQ.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way that is somewhat salvageable. But like you said, if LA Knight wins, it just kind of cheapens the stock for AJ even more. And one of the notes I made when I was watching SmackDown, AJ is so not over at the moment. The crowd was dead when he came out, and it was kind of sad to see. So like, this guy is great. He's such a good wrestler, but I don't know whether that's kind of like a combination of him having the new music or not, and people just aren't familiar with it.
He's just not over, unfortunately. He's just really, really not over, and it's a shame. It really is a fucking shame, because Styles is an amazing wrestler, and again, and that's not me just trying to be biased. I talk amazing about him, but it's a shame. I'd rather Styles go for mid-card title. I know it's going to be kind of a controversial take. I'd love to have him in NXT and win the NXT title.
That'd be cool.
I think
I'd watch that.
Like, because we've seen the OC go to NXT. Why not just go? Fuck it. The club move over to NXT. He has a run as the NXT World Championship. Puts over another young talent, like whoever they choose, and then it gives more prestige to the championship. It gives him another title run, and it kind of makes the brand a little bit more of a oomph in that aspect, where they've got such a big name to it.
I never thought
what
about
they do
it.
with Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah. I mean, I'd never thought about it like that, but yeah, that would actually be pretty good. Like, say, it would help put someone else over. I think, as much as you'd like to see AJ carry on for another 15 years, probably not.
He's mentioned it. He says that in his head, he says he can still do it, but his body's telling him he can't. And he says the end is probably near for him. Yeah. And that sucks to hear, because again, for someone that's 46 that moves the way he does, he puts me to shame, and I'm 16 years younger than him. Like, he's an incredible talent, and again, for his age, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. Like, the pun is there.
No pun intended, but all the puns intended. But yeah, I think it makes sense as well. Like you say, approaching the tail end of his career, he can go help out some younger talents, teach them some things, and I could see that being quite cool. I'd watch that.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah. Next one then. Everyone's favourite of the night, Logan Paul. Right, so I may have a somewhat controversial opinion on this.
No, I think if you're gonna go with the route that I'm gonna go down, because I'm gonna have it after you.
I don't know.
For somebody of his age and his time within the company, he's a very good wrestler.
He is perfect for wrestling.
He is an amazing wrestler, and it pisses me off because he's such a shitty person.
He's an absolute twat. I hate the guy in and out in real life, not in terms of someone getting heat. I think he is awful.
Yep.
But you cannot deny that he is a perfect fit for wrestling. He will never ever be a babyface. He will be a heel his entire career.
Yeah, of course.
But he is a great fit for that. Like, he gets heat like nobody else, and it is real. Like, people actually hate him. But like you say, in terms of what he does in the ring, he's not really doing moves per se, but like the athleticism that he's got, like that the frog splash he hit to get the win on that looked great. It's like that's a good ass frog splash. That
he is a talent that if he just done WWE, I think I'd like him a lot more as a heel. But again, knowing his past and what he's done, and again, I know people, they go, oh, they grow and they get better over time. Some things you can't forgive and forget.
No.
And what he did, I can't really get over. But again, I can always go, he's a great talent. He's very, very fucking good. And it's scary that he's the level he is for the amount of time he's been doing it, compared to some people that have been within the company for a very long time and aren't even like a scratch against him. Because again, some of the suplexes he does are some of the best.
Yeah, they're good.
Like,
they're good.
He does really good he has a good moveset. And again, I know he's been like training a lot and he gets a lot of time in NXT developmental aspects of things to get the training. He goes to show that like someone like him compared to Ronda Rousey, like Rousey's been a bit vocal about it, that she was like, I wish I had as much time as he did to get better.
She was just shit off the bat though, wasn't she?
Yeah, I genuinely feel like he's put in the work to prove himself within the company, and he's done a great job at doing so.
That's the thing, like, there's never ever going to be a scenario where I like him as a person, but can I like appreciate and respect that he wants to get better and stuff like that? It's still going to be good for business, and like regardless of how you feel about him, he obviously has a fan base, and he is bringing that fan base to wrestling. It's mostly kids, but it's a younger generation that might fall in love with wrestling like we did when we were younger and carry it forward. And I think it's just good for business having him there, regardless of how you or me feel about it. I completely understand why it's there. And
I feel like him bringing in more talent, or not even talent, like content creators. Like,
I hate all that shit.
I hate it, but again, it gets like to the mainstream. Like last year, we had KSI be a part of WrestleMania, and again, loads of people like KSI was talking about it on like the Sidemen channel and whatnot. And again, he put over the WWE, which is good for the company. And then you've had people like Aisha Speed, someone that I can't fucking stand personally. Like again, I don't like him. I know kids do, but he's just not for me. But he put over the work. He didn't like no sell. He kind of
he took it,
and it's good to see. And since then, I saw him stream WWE 2K24, and he had a match with him and Randy Orton, and then Randy Orton beat him in the game as well.
That's
it's just stupid shit like that you see, and you're like, at least he's actually going, you know what, well, I've already done my work, but I'm going to put in the work a bit more.
Yeah, and he's not like actively shitting on it after the fact either.
No.
He's not like, it's just a load of shit. I didn't even feel anything. Like, he's actually still carrying it on.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I hate it. I hate seeing that stuff, but I get it. and you are 100% right. Like, it is good for business. Again, I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see OJ Speed. Like, who are we going to get next? Like, are we just like crossing off a list of like shitty content creators? We're going to get Johnny Somali next.
I'll be next.
I was going to say, I'll take a bump.
Yeah, I'll be the next shitty creator.
Maybe we should both go there and take like a double suplex or something.
I don't know who can kick the shit out of me. I'll take anyone.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'll take a chop by Gunter if I had to get on this fucking...
They have to hurt.
WWE. Oh, yeah. Have you ever seen the one that he done against Zack Sabre Jr.?
Probably.
I need to link it you. It is the most brutal thing in the world. Like, anytime anyone goes, oh, wrestling's fake, though, I'm like, watch this and tell me it's fucking fake.
Oh, yes.
He is a scary man.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know, Logan Paul holding the belt still, like, okay, I guess.
Good
like,
for business.
Yeah, I think...
Business.
What is the United States Championship at this point anyway? Like,
true.
I can't really see it going to anyone to help further their career. Not while he's got it, to be honest.
The thing with it as well is that he will bring a bit more light to the more common audience, because what is it? I know Jake Paul's got his fight against Mike Tyson soon.
Yeah.
You can tell he'll bring that title out to the ring with him to support Jake.
Yeah.
And again, having that belt is getting light onto it, whether it be something that we want it to have, in the aspect of him having that title. Is it good for us as fans? Not really, because we're going to get people like Speed fans that want to now watch wrestling. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
But is it good in the aspect of the business? Hell yeah, because it brings more people interested in wanting to watch wrestling and go, oh, well, what's that around his neck or around his waist?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, isn't it? Like, regardless of how, like, us, not old timers feel, but, like, you know, people who have been around the business for a while feel about it. It's just good. It's good for continued growth of wrestling.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I'm not going to be mad about, to be honest. Next match we had Bayley versus Io Sky. It was nice to see Bayley get her moment back.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see Bayley actually win something for a change and not just lose every single fucking match that she's ever been in. And I can honestly say, apart from this one win, I can't remember the last time Bayley won a match within the WWE. Apart from the Rumble, she like, to be honest, I feel like this was the weakest build up to a match at Mania. I feel like the Street Profits match had more of a build up than this Bayley Io match. Don't get me wrong, we know about the damage control aspects of it, and yeah, it was her team and all of this, and they betrayed her.
But they didn't build it though, did they? It was just like it was just a matter of fact.
Yeah, there was no matches for Bayley to like show off like, oh well, look, I've got a bit of momentum behind me, and then get attacked by damage control. She just had that one tag match, I think, with her and Dakota Kai.
Yeah, vaguely remember.
Versus Oscar and I can't remember the other one's name, and that's going to beg me.
Yeah.
I can't remember. The Kabushi Warriors. We'll just go with that because I know that's what their tag name used to be.
Kairi Sane.
Like that's the
Kairi
one.
Sane.
They had that one match where Dakota turned on Bayley midway through the match, and then other than that, I can't remember another match they had since. And it just felt, although it's good to see Bayley win that title and win a match at Mania, there was nothing to it. It didn't feel like there was layers. It just felt very like,
yeah.
At least with the Logan Paul match, at least there's a bit of background to it with with him not betraying, using the brass knuckles on Owens and.
I want to touch on that actually. I forgot about that. I hated the fact that he had it on his hand in front of the referee like multiple times, and the referee was just like, nothing. Didn't look at it.
Was this in the Triple Threat?
Yeah,
but it's Triple Threat's no DQ.
Yeah, but yeah, fair point. I don't know, just
no DQ
Like, he didn't even acknowledge it. There was no like, no, come on, don't do that. Like, referees usually do, where they're like, oh, I know it's illegal, but don't do it. Like, there was nothing. He just paid no attention to it. And I was just like, maybe should.
No.
But yeah, I think Bailey getting the win at Mania is good. To be honest, the match itself, I vaguely remember. I don't remember too much about it. I think it's just nice to see her get the win, like you say. What they do with that title again moving forward, don't know.
Yeah, because I think it's her versus Naomi this week on Friday.
Yeah, and just no.
And again, they had Tiffany Stratton lose to Naomi. They've been building her up so much. I genuinely thought I would rather see Bailey have such a short run with this title and lose it at Backlash to Tiffany Stratton. But they went with Naomi, unless they have Tiffany come out and interfere and cost Naomi the match. I just don't see what they're doing in that aspect. I feel like, again, WWE have a fucking plethora of talent that they keep fucking with, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating because, again, although I shit talked a lot about AEW, I feel like I need to have my moments with WWE because they need to stop. They keep fucking things up, and it's frustrating. Yeah,
I agree with you. Like, I watched the SmackDown earlier today where Tiff came out, and I had the exact same reaction when she said, well, obviously Bailey said, oh, I'd like to wrestle Naomi, and then Tiffy just went, Naomi, and I was like, yeah. What do you mean, Naomi? I was like, she's not remotely over. You could put, if she goes on to Backlash and has that fight with Bailey ain't losing that, no chance.
Yeah,
but if Tiffany's in it, you go, okay, are they going to put this belt on her now? Like, at least you go into it with some questions of, like, what's going to happen. But with Naomi being in there, you're just like, well, that's a foregone conclusion.
Yep.
Like, there's no way they're doing that. But what do we know, hey? Armchair bookers.
True.
Okay. Then we move on to the main event of WrestleMania. What are your initial thoughts, though, coming off of it?
So, I think it was what it set out to be. It was the fucking Avengers of all WrestleMania matches. They had everyone and anyone that could physically get involved. Although, I'm a bit disappointed with one of the things that happened. You may agree, you may not, but yeah, the match itself was good. I felt it was nice to see Roman actually doing more moves, like different movesets. Like, he done a fisherman suplex, which
it was a good fisherman's.
Yeah, I've never seen Roman do a fisherman suplex. So I was like, oh, okay, go Roman, fucking fisherman suplex. And
good arch on it.
Yeah, it was nice to see different moves being used. But when everyone started pouring out, like the Usos, Solo, The Rock, what's his name, Seth Rollins, John Cena, I wanted Stone Cold. I wanted Stone Cold so fucking bad. But from what I heard, they didn't come down to a monetary agreement with him.
Yeah, I think that was the case.
I think it's fucking disgusting. I would have paid him every money for that 5-second moment to come down, because although it was nice seeing Taker, I was like, oh shit, Undertaker. In my head, I was like, he hasn't really had that many feuds with The Rock. Like, he's had a feud with Roman off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's kind of where my thought was going to go, though. Like, it would have made more sense if he had attacked Roman.
Yeah, but in my head, I was
like, streak again.
I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then I was just like, although everything about it was amazing, like the whole Roman being torn in the aspects of who to hit the chair on when he turned and was like, I'm going for Seth because he's wearing the Shield gear. It was like a 10-year in the making kind of thing where it's like all that resentment and anger built up. Just had that chair shot. It had so much depth to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing storytelling, because they're going through the whole lifespan of everything with this. But I feel like the Taker thing kind of killed it for me. I really did. I'd rather The Rock turn face that moment for no fucking reason than
just out of the blue. I
just
like Cody now.
Yeah, just fucking rock bottom Roman. Be like, yeah, fuck you, bitch. Like, I pinned him last night. Why are you getting this match tonight? Kind of thing.
Yeah,
I just, the match was amazing. It was great. I'm glad Cody's got his flowers. I'm glad Cody's had the story that he's wanted to finish for so bloody long now. But I just felt like the Undertaker bit kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think, to be honest though, like you say with all the Stone Cold stuff, I think the likelihood of that is that it was due to be Stone Cold the whole time. And I should imagine last minute they were just like, Taker, you're here. Can you please just do this bit? And Taker's never going to say no.
He likes his money.
Not even just the money, but just like he just can't walk away. He's always going to show up and do something. But yeah, the stuff with Seth in the Shield outfit, I'm not going to lie, when the Shield music hit, I so badly wanted Dean to come down as well. I was just like, please!
I think a lot of people said there was rumours that WWE tried with Dean. But again, I don't think that would ever have happened due to the fact that, again, they've got not the best relationship, surprisingly enough.
No, funny that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have loved to have seen it, though. I think they would have been so cool. I mean, Seth coming down in the Shield stuff was cool as well. And I think, like you say, the 10-year aspect of tying that story off and just the anger in Roman's face where, like, you could see he just basically had, like, PTSD flashbacks of what had happened. Yeah. And he was just like, yeah, that makes sense, actually. And, like I say, just tying off loose ends from, like, 10 years ago is just...
Yeah.
It's just such a long story that I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen a story from like that long ago have some kind of resolution that far down the line. Like, I don't think really there's ever massively been any like payoff for when that originally happened. I don't really remember whether Seth or Roman ever actually kind of had a match squashing that or anything.
They didn't.
I mean, that says it all, though, doesn't it? From how booking used to be back then. They never actually tied that off. But the fact that it happened there, it happened how it did, I was really pleased with. And like you say, Cody finally finishing the story. It was fucking emotional, man. Like, I fucking sobbed. I was just like the real implications of it just hit home so well. And I can't remember her bloody name, but on the announcements when she said your new champion Cody Rhodes and she started tearing up and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it was just so emotional, and just the thought of, like, you know, Dusty never got to see it, and how proud of him he would have been. It just hit home so much, and just how everyone really piled out of the locker room to come and congratulate him and stuff. And I remember. At the time I saw Randy down there and I went, the fuck is Randy doing here? And then I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, it was with him, wasn't he, back in the day? And I completely forgot that was even a thing.
Legacy.
Yeah, I forgot that was even a thing, and I was like, oh yeah, of course he's there. That makes sense now.
When it was the world's worst faction of like second generation talent.
Yep. It was him and Ted, wasn't it? Ted DiBiase.
That was the one. And not only that, who else was there? There's a few others. There was a couple of other people.
I can't remember the other ones.
Do you remember Deuce and Domino? The grease, like, there used to be greasers and they would come out in like the 1950s car and have like grease back hair.
No.
One of them was okay. Well, one of them I believe was a part of it, and he was just fucking pointless. So he'd done nothing.
I mean, that says a lot about that faction, doesn't it? But yeah, it was cool seeing everyone come out. I thought it was quite funny though when CM Punk came out. Like, it was kind of like celebratory when he wasn't there. But when he entered the ring, you could just feel everyone was just like, just took like this.
Yeah,
like, it was weird, and
it does make me laugh though, because again, you can tell by some of the talent that they just genuinely don't like him. Like He was this week on fucking Raw. Did you see the Kevin Owens promo?
Yeah, when and then he pushed CM Punk's stuff off the table.
It was great. It was great. It was like just fucking the little whoop.
Yeah, that was
brilliant. It was so good to see. Like, well, it's not good to see because you can tell quite a lot of people just don't want to work with Punk, but they're gonna have to buckle down and do it at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. I'm just happy for Cody. Just happy for him.
Yeah.
I think I don't know where it goes from here. I'd have some concerns that will die out and the crowd will eventually not care anymore.
Yeah.
Because I think any story from any medium, the bit you care about is the journey. And I think once you get to that point, you kind of lose interest a little bit. We'll have to see what they have in store. But I have concerns with where that's going to go.
Yeah, I do too.
But yeah.
I have a feeling it's not going to live too long, this hype.
No, I don't think it will. But either way, he had his moment. Like you say, he got his flowers. There's no taking that away from him now. He will forever be the only Rhodes probably to hold the WWE Championship, unless he has kids.
Definitely is.
Maybe might have kids, but
he does. He has a daughter.
Oh, does he? I didn't know he had a daughter.
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Yep.
But yeah, that was Mania. I think all in. I think Triple H kind of said quite a few times that like on every metric it was the biggest WrestleMania of all time.
Yeah.
It felt like it, to be honest. I think going into it, I don't know how you felt about it, but like it kind of felt like there was a groundswell happening. Like there was a lot more talk happening around wrestling. It was a bigger 100%. Event than it usually is. I personally think that, well, WWE is back in a big way.
And Hunter and Stephanie both made it perfectly clear, like it's his first WrestleMania as the CEO of the company. He's the man that's running it. And again, I felt like the matches were very good. Like I felt like some storyline aspects of it could have been better, some of the matches, but the ones that meant the most definitely had the better storylines to them. Like they felt like they were jam packed. Again, we spoke about the bloodline work. Although the match was shit with Jimmy and Jay, there was a story behind it. It weren't just don't like you, let's fight. Kind of like the AJ Styles LA Knight match. Although there was a story behind it that he felt like he'd been like the match was costed to him. It's a very nitpicky, but yeah, it's nice. I definitely am excited to see where the future goes with WWE and what they do to continue to improve the product, and especially to see what talent they start working on and making better or make them a main event aspect to the company, because they've got amazing talent. They just need to start putting the work in, because who's coming back? There's Sheamus. Sheamus is back tomorrow.
Yeah, he's back tomorrow, isn't
he? And I thought he was going. I thought he was leaving, to be honest with you, because we haven't seen it.
He's getting a little long in the tooth now, isn't he, as well, to be fair?
Yeah. He hasn't been seen since, I can't remember, I think it has to be since his match with Gunter. So it's been coming up to nearly a year. Must be nearly a year since we last saw Sheamus. So he's coming back, and I'm excited to see what he's going to be. Is he going to be a face or a heel?
Yeah.
They just brought in the guy from New Japan.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's pretty good.
I feel bad because again, he's now been dropped into one of the biggest WWE storylines, being dropped in the Bloodline work. So again, now that's laying down the foundation of Civil War Bloodline 2.0. This is where I was saying about earlier. I feel like they're gonna have the Usos reunite with Roman, and they're going to be like the good
I agree.
bloodline, and then it'll be Rock. What's his name? Can't remember.
It begins with a T. I remember that.
And they've supposedly got another. They've signed another person who's a part of the bloodline.
Yeah, I saw that.
Fatu.
Yeah, yes, it's
and I've seen his work for a year now in MLW, and for a big guy, he can fucking move. And I'm excited to see what he brings to the aspect of WWE as well. Because again, I feel like they need to strike while the iron's hot. But we'll have to wait and see, because we don't know when Roman will be back.
Done. The bloodline's not done, 100%. The story is still going to carry on. I think, to be honest, the only thing I really wanted to touch on from SmackDown was some of that bloodline stuff. I kind of agree with you with where you were going in terms of what they're going to do with Roman coming back. I think in a really weird roundabout way, Roman comes back as a babyface. Like, in a weird way.
Possibly.
Not necessarily as a full babyface, but someone that the crowd actually roots for.
Yeah, I definitely feel that would be the case, because bear in mind, like, we saw it with Paul Heyman. He pulled out the phone and was like, "Cool, Roman Reigns," and then Solo dropped the phone on the floor and stomped on it. It's like, we've never seen Solo be defiant in the aspect of Roman. So it's like, oh shit, is he now going? He ain't the head anymore. We've got a new head, and that's good old Dwayne.
Yeah,
he will be back sometime soon.
Yeah, I agree. I think Paul Heyman again in that moment was just so fucking good. Like the look of sheer terror on his face in that corner.
Yeah,
it was so good.
Because when you see, did he get hugged by Solo and he thought, like, it was like, oh shit, I'm gonna get attacked, and he's like, no, you're good. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then later on as well, they had that other moment as well where I think it was that other new guy come up to him, and I think he said, like, by orders of the tribal chief. That was the only thing he said. But, like, is it Roman? Or is it someone else?
It has to be The Rock. I'm calling it now. I'm definitely thinking they're going to do a swerve and make Rock the new head of the table, but not the one that everyone knows as. It's that's my thought process behind it.
But what do you think they actually fight for? Like, if that happens where it's good bloodline versus bad bloodline, what are the stakes? Like, what do you think is on the table for that?
I don't know. I've got a really weird feeling Cody's going to hold the title until SummerSlam. I have a feeling he's going to lose it to The Rock. I have a really, really bad gut feeling that he's going to lose it to The Rock at SummerSlam, and we'll have another part-time champion, which I'm not excited for.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling we're going to get Seth versus Roman at SummerSlam as well, potentially.
Yeah.
And then with that, Seth will beat Roman. And then next day on Raw, wherever they are, because again the splits happening soon.
It's like a month away.
They all come out, and then Rock's like, "You ain't it anymore. I am." And then he tries attacking Roman, and then Jimmy comes out, and then Jay's there because it's his brother and his cousin, and they've all been there together for so long. And it's Bloodline 2.0 versus Bloodline.
Yeah.
War games or some shit like that, or something.
I think that would make a lot of sense for like a Survivor Series sort of thing as well.
Exactly. And then again, you can always throw Sami Zayn into the mix because he was an honorary use or some nonsense.
I'd love to see that again. I fucking loved him as an honorary use. I thought that was great.
He was good. He was really
good. It was
good.
just the bit where he's like, he's not feeling very oozy. I fucking loved that. But yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. I think coming out of Mania, it still is, even though Cody's the champion, it still is the most interesting storyline that's in wrestling at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Even with Roman not there, like I think even maybe like especially with Roman not there at the moment, like wondering who's going to fill that power vacuum and stuff like that. Like I think on paper, in theory, you probably are right, but on paper with what they're presenting at the moment, feels to me as if Solo's trying to fill that gap.
Yeah.
But like what actually happens with that, I don't know. But again, it's what makes it interesting. Like you care about what's going to happen next week. It's
exactly. That's what makes us love wrestling, because it's not just your bog standards. Oh, we know that this is going to happen next week. It all can change. It can all get flipped on its head in the matter of a couple of minutes.
Very well said. But yeah, I think the Raw and the SmackDown after it, I think always coming off of that Mania, they were going to feel a little bit more subdued. I think they needed some air, needed some time to breathe.
I felt like watching highlights of both. It felt very lackluster. I'm very, very disappointed with how both were handled. There was no like return appearance, because don't get me wrong, they teased Sheamus on the Raw, but I felt like they could have always brought Sheamus back on the Monday, like to just have like that power play, like, oh yeah, look who's back that we haven't had wrestle in so long within the company, or even have Sheamus go up against Priest again at Backlash, because what is it, they've gone with Jay again, but I have a feeling Jimmy's going to get involved. Well, I don't know. I have a weird feeling the bloodline aspect is not over in there. I've got a feeling he's going to get involved, because if I'm to be honest with you, I think Jay would potentially beat Damien.
Damien, yeah,
because he's beaten him before. I think he was the one that pinned him. Him or Cody pinned him, or I can't remember who pinned who.
Oh, I can't remember
the tag titles, but he's theoretically already beat him before. So what's saying he can't beat him in a solos match? There's something that just doesn't feel right with that match. So I would have rather have had Drew come out, be a little bitch about it and moan and have his moment, and then Sheamus come out again. It would have been like, oh my god, pop surprise return from Sheamus, get Sheamus straight back in the title picture, and even if he loses to Priest at Backlash, it's still a match that wasn't expecting to happen. So I just felt both events were very shit. I'm really disappointed.
I don't disagree with it, but I think they definitely fell flat. I don't know whether they would have been received as poorly not straight after WrestleMania, though. Like I think they were bad, but I don't think that, I think the main event with Rey Mysterio, Kevin Owens and LA Knight at SmackDown, that was a really good main event. Like there were some really good spots in that match.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like again, I feel like the wrestling aspects to SmackDown was a lot better, but I felt like there's a lot of things that just were missed. I felt like a surprise return would have really helped cemented stuff, but yeah, I don't know. It just didn't sell it for me, and I was really, really disappointed, because everyone knows. You talk to anyone, they go, "Oh yeah, the Raw after Mania is always going to be fucking sick."
Yeah.
And I remember watching it, and I was just like,
yeah.
Like I can't. Apart from the Judgment Day versus Awesome Truth and John Cena, I can't really remember any other match that happened on Raw.
No, I can't remember any matches. I just remember the Rock Cody segment,
which took half an hour,
something like that. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, I feel like this is where AEW shine a little bit more. Again, I'm gonna give it its flowers. AEW put a wrestling show on. It's not always half an hour segments of talking. And again, with The Rock going now, I hope it's not like this. I hope it's cut down to 10, 15, because I'm there to watch someone wrestle. I'm not there to hear about the life story and fucking the whole 9 yards. I just want a good wrestling show, and I want to see wrestling.
Yeah, no, I
You
agree
need
with
to
you.
put, you know,
Yeah,
even to the point, like I'm looking at the show tomorrow, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable for the Intercontinental title. That's a match. You have Sheamus's return as well. You've got Andrade versus Dominic, which I think's an actual really interesting match. I'm intrigued to see it.
Yeah, I'm interested for that one.
And yeah, I'm just like, why wasn't these matches put the day after? Just feels like they've missed a good mark with it.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. I think it will pick up though. I think it is disappointing. Like you say, I think Raw after Mania is always considered like the big one. Shame it wasn't, but I'm still really interested to see where the storylines go after Mania and see what new ones they set up and stuff like that for the whole new build again, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that'll probably do it for the actual talking about matches and stuff like that. We're going for a while. We're going for like 2.5 hours.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I think we'll move on to the next bit. This is a little segment I've decided to call Hot Tag Questions, where I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions, and just off the cuff, instant reaction, what your answer would be.
Okay.
Cool.
Right, I'll try.
Raw or SmackDown?
SmackDown.
Rock or Stone Cold?
Stone Cold.
Hardy Boys or the Dudleys?
Hardys.
Attitude Era or Ruthless Aggression Era?
Ruthless Aggression.
Oh, I was not expecting that. Favorite title belt iteration?
Oh, fuck. I'd say hardcore title.
I can see that. It was quite cool back in the day.
Yeah.
Other favourite pay-per-view other than Mania?
Money in the Bank.
Favourite wrestler other than AJ Styles?
What? Jeff Hardy.
Fair. Favourite match of all time?
John Cena versus AJ Styles at Royal Rumble. Can't remember which one it was. Actually, that was a good match.
Was it the match though?
it was certainly a top contender. I'm gonna go with the cliche. Hardy's, Dudley's, Edge and Christian, TLC, WrestleMania 17, I think. Oh
yeah.
God, 17.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, that's old.
That is old.
I remember watching that live.
Same. Favorite faction of all time?
Fuck. Don't really have one. I actually don't. Like, I liked DX, but not enough. Evolution were alright.
Are you pleading no contest on that question?
Yeah, I genuinely don't have one.
That's fair enough.
Because again, with every faction, there'll be that one wrestler I don't like. Like Evolution, I'd probably said I liked a lot, but then I remembered Ric Flair was a part of it. And I fucking hate Flair, so I was like, no.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I don't know. I probably would have a hard time answering that. I think probably everyone's go-to is just going to be DX, isn't it? To be honest.
Yeah, DX, NWO, the classic too.
Cool. Next one. Best Mania ever.
WrestleMania 17.
I'd agree with that one.
Again, it had some of the best build-ups. Rock versus Stone Cold, Taker versus Triple H, the TLC match. You had the hardcore title Raven versus Kane versus Big Show, I think.
Is that the one where Kane puts Raven through the glass?
Yep. And then they raced around on go-karts against each other. It was fucking sick. It was such a good match.
I would agree. 17 is my favourite.
Yeah.
Still, that promo that they had for The Rock vs Stone Cold, where they used Limp Bizkit's My Way.
With Olympics, My Way of the High. It was
Best.
so good. That's what I mean.
Peak. That is peak WWE. It's never going to get better than that.
And then the heel turn from Stone Cold going with Vince. Oh, it was great.
I'd agree with you. First pay-per-view you remember?
First pay-per-view I remember. WCW Halloween Havoc.
We are showing our age now a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you there, though. I remember my first one. I remember is one of the insurrections from like 95 or 96.
I went to one of them in Earl's Court. I remember going to that, and it was Taker and Kane versus Stone Cold and Triple H. Whoever won got the titles or some shit. It was. Yeah, I remember.
The only thing I remember I don't even remember it was Insurrection, but it was definitely one that was in the UK. And I remember that the Road Warriors came out.
Not too sure about that one.
I need to look it up because I want to know what that is, because I've always wanted to go back and watch it, because obviously it's the first one I remember. But yeah, I just remember the Road Warriors coming out and being like, who the fuck are these? And they had that weird the headbangers, and they did the move called the mosh pit. And as a kid, I thought they actually meant someone's armpit. Obviously, I grew up and realised what music was, and was like, okay, that makes a bit more sense now. But at the time, I thought it was his armpit. Shane or Stephanie?
I'd probably go Shane.
I think he's done more for wrestling in a weird way.
Yeah, I do too. He helped the business quite a lot. Don't get me wrong, Stephanie was a women's champion at one stage.
Whether she should have been or not.
No, she shouldn't have been. She should not have been, ever. But Shane, whenever he's had a match, it's actually been a good match. Like him and Kim Shamrock. What's his name? Not Kim Shamrock. What's the guy's name? The one where he plummets from like 20 foot off, getting hit with an Indo stick.
Oh yeah, that Steve Blackman.
That's the one, Steve Blackman. That match I remember, and him versus Kurt Angle at King of the Ring.
That was such a good match.
When he tries getting thrown through the glass and it just ain't breaking, and he takes a bump to the head, so you can see like he's like dazed.
He's
confused.
Out. He's fucking out.
Like Shane has done a lot for the company, a lot in the aspects of not just being a back of house kind of person or being a face to run the brand. He's actually put in the work, even with his matches, like when it was him versus was it Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens?
It was KO.
Yeah, and was it? I can't remember what the spot was. Was it him jumping off the Hell in a Cell or?
Yeah, I think.
He's done a lot of fucking crazy shit for his time within the company, and he's put on some really good matches. Don't get me wrong. Are his jabs good? No, they are the fucking worst thing I've ever seen anyone do. They are some of the disgusting jabs I've ever seen. Someone, but he's done a lot more than Stephanie.
I respect the answer. Favorite crowd participation chant, like when people go "what" or Daniel Bryan's "yes."
Oh, okay. Fandango. When Fandango used to come out, I think it was the best. That or
I was not expecting that.
I think it's great because it's all like the Hey Bailey chant and the Fandango all stemmed from the UK.
Yeah.
It's all from the UK, and none of that shit was like a US kind of thing. And I feel like it got taken abroad over with Fandango and Bailey.
Yeah.
You hear it now, and you're like, "That's a UK chant." Like, and yeah, I think Fandango's one's the best because I think everyone just sat there and would sing along.
I was not expecting that answer, but I can appreciate it. I don't know. I feel like I had this thought the other day though that all you need to get over really is a good crowd participation chant. Like you think about it, LA Knights, like everyone loves that shit. Daniel Bryan's, yes, like everyone loves it. Even with Cody Rhodes, where everyone just goes, "Whoa!" Like everyone loves that shit.
Cody's one's amazing. When it happened at the O2, it was very, very surprising. I was like, it was really impactful. So even hearing it like at Mania, I'm sure it was probably twice as good.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, that stuff means a lot when like, it comes through on the camera, but not how it actually feels to be there when you hear that shit. Like, when I went to All In, when Jericho came out and sang his song, and like everybody joined in. It was so cool though. Like how everybody was just joining in. It was so fucking loud as well.
It's just a shame it's Jericho now.
He's just gone downhill now.
Yeah.
But is what it is. Best actual wrestler on the WWE roster.
What, of all time or current or current?
Who's like the actual best at actually wrestling?
Man, that is it's hard. It's hard because again, there's so many good wrestlers. I'll probably say Gunter, actually.
Fair.
Yeah, Gunter. Like he's put on some really good matches, and his style changes each match. It's not the same generic. Oh, I'm gonna drop kick you and then do my signature move, then my finisher. It's I'm gonna fucking powerbomb the shit out of you, and then I'll pin you via a powerbomb. I'm gonna chop the shit out of you, then choke you out. He's so diverse. Him or actually no, I changed my mind. Ilya Dragunov in NXT. I think he has some of the best potential, and some of like his matches, he just gets the shit kicked out of him. Like you see him come out of a match, he'll have like a bloody nose. He'll be like welted up on the chest, and he'll throw a good match together. Like again, him and Gunter when it was for the UK NXT title, they battered the fuck out of each other. It weren't even like a wrestling match. It was like, oh shit, they genuinely are kicking the fuck out of each other. So yeah, one of them two will definitely be number one for me.
Fair enough. Best finisher of all time.
I'd say it's Styles Clash.
I knew you'd say that.
Only reason being, no, right. The Styles Clash is one of them moves that has happened so many times. It's like an RKO. It can come out like it can happen so quickly. Like I've seen him do it to Ricochet when he threw Ricochet onto the top rope. He bounced, caught him, then done the Styles Clash. I saw him reverse the stomp from Seth Rollins into Styles Clash. It's one of them moves that we don't see as much in WWE because it's a move they don't really like to be used because of a couple of incidences with what's his name, James Ellsworth, the guy that had no chin.
Yeah, some people have got quite badly injured from it, but it's always been their fault because they tuck their head.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the Styles Clash is definitely one of them. I'll probably go Styles Clash.
I knew you'd say that.
I have to throw one AJ one in there. Okay? Give me credit.
I've always been quite partial at the pedigree. I love a pedigree.
Yeah, I do too.
Best manager of all time.
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman. Yeah, we've already said that, but yeah, Paul Heyman.
Yeah. Paul.
The contributions of Triple H to wrestling, or the contributions of Paul Levesque to wrestling?
Paul Levesque. Triple H did nothing for the company in the sense of putting over talent. He shit on Scott Steiner, which, in fairness, I understand. No one likes Scott Steiner. I don't like him.
Fair enough.
Booker T should have won that WrestleMania match. It's a fucking shame he didn't. But yeah, Triple H as a person really didn't help the company. He damaged it more than anything. He held people back. But Paul, you can tell he's now in that position where he's like, I want to develop people. I want to see growth. It's nice because, again, as bad as it is, it can come across as a racial term, like especially with Booker T. He just didn't put over Booker T at all. Yeah. And we have no reason why he didn't, because Booker was a successful WCW wrestler.
Yeah. I think that's probably the reason, isn't it? Is it they?
I hope it is. I really hope it is, and it's not like a racially determination thing, because it'd be fucking heartbreaking to hear that he's a massive racist.
Yeah, I can't.
Again,
that's
speculation. That's speculation. But again, I'm just going off of when I saw him with Booker T, and Booker T got fucking buried. And actually no, and what he done with Sting as well. Fuck that. No, that pissed me off too. Sting should have won that fucking match. It was his one WrestleMania match. Sting should have had that, and he lost to some. That match was just shit in general. Like the more I'm thinking about it, when Sting broke the sledgehammer in half with a baseball bat, I'm like, it's not fucking some Jedi mind.
The math ain't mathing there.
Yeah, and then the NWO and fucking no, that match sucked. So, and again, that's probably not Triple H doing that. That's probably Vince, because Vince didn't like a lot of WCW talent anyway. But I know when he was a wrestler, he would no-sell some wrestlers. So
yeah, I think that's really interesting though, like your perspective on that, and like how, to be honest, the complete 180 his career has had in that regard. Like you heard it so many times about how Triple H would not put people over or try and keep himself on top, and you know, everyone always says that he had the Triple H reign of terror when he like had all the belts all the time.
Yep.
But then to see what he's doing now, it's like similar to like Roman Reigns, where they're not even the same person. Like Paul Levesque clearly cares about wrestling, not just WWE. He clearly respects what wrestling is, wants WWE to grow and do well. I genuinely can't think of a better person to be in charge of WWE now.
I agree.
He's put it in such a good spot, and it was always on the cards, like with what he did with NXT and stuff. You know, he turned that developmental show into like actually something people wanted to watch all the time. And to now see that he's now doing that with the main roster and stuff like that, to me it's just nowhere but up from here.
I agree. I hope for really good things come.
But yeah, that those were my hot tag questions.
Oh, thank you.
If you want to do me next week or whenever we do another one,
I'll get some written up for you.
Do some off the cuff questions. I think most of the news we've pretty much touched on already.
Yeah, we have. We spoke about it earlier on.
I think there's two. There's two on there that we haven't spoken about. I might just quickly touch on before we call it a day. So the WWE have announced that all of like the augmented reality stuff that they have when people come out and stuff like that, that's all going away now for like Raw and SmackDown. I agree. I think that it's very distracting.
It's never needed. I don't get why Kevin Owens had a massive wrecking ball come through and big KO thing. Judgment Day kind of got their thing, but I don't see the whole point in that.
Nope.
Especially now how they're doing some of this, like the shots, like for instance when we were speaking about like the Kevin Owens segment earlier on when
I love all that stuff.
When he like in Sami Zayn's one was so iconic at Mania. You saw him go from talking to his wife to going to Chad Gable to then meeting Owens before he went through the curtain.
So good.
And then seeing through the curtain aspect of it. We've never seen that kind of shit in WWE.
Seeing in Gorilla all the time.
Yeah,
it's so fucking cool.
It's stuff that we've never seen before and experienced as a consumer. It's nice and it's refreshing, and the whole like CGI stuff they've had in the past has never really done wonders. Again, like going off of CGI stuff. I remember when the ramp had a massive snake and it looked like a massive sperm. Randy Orton.
I forgot about that.
It was the worst thing. It was more distracting than anything else. I think Randy even mentions it a couple times. Like he's like, "Yeah, that shit sucked." Like, there's a lot of things they've done in the past where I'm like, "Do less. You're doing great."
Yeah.
And I think that's what they've said. They're going to cut back on a lot more of the like the big scenery. They're going to save like when it's like Rumble, SummerSlam, Mania, they will have the big stage production, but then like some of the smaller pay-per-views like Backlash, they'll rather have it at a smaller scale in the aspect of there's not like a whole Titantron and stuff like that. I like it. I think it's a better thing. I think it brings more seats into the arenas as well, because you're not cutting off a whole part of the stadium. You've got a lot more to use now compared to when you have a fucking 200-foot Titantron that's sitting there. You're like, well, that's a whole fucking row of seats that have gone. Now you've got that row of seats that's available.
I agree. I'd never liked the augmented reality stuff. I think the Roman Reigns one looked like fucking shit, to be quite honest. With the stage setup, I agree with you to a certain extent, but it does, to me, make the shows feel smaller in scale. Like, they feel more now like a smaller indie show, even though it's not.
Yeah, no, I get that. I do get that.
And I think the only other issue I have with it is the pay-per-view ones where it's essentially coming out of like one of the things. I think that looks shit. I hate that.
See, that's how Money in the Bank was. It was just like a little walkway with a screen on the side, and I was just like, okay.
That's what I mean.
But again, going off of I've been to 2 shows at the O2. I've been at one, the pay-per-view aspect of it, and then one back in the day. And the amount of seats that were available compared to prior was outstanding. Like, it was incredible how many more people they could sit into an arena compared to having the big stage. And don't get me wrong, it did feel very like, I kind of was expecting something there, some ladders, you know how they would for any other old Money in the Bank matches. But it just felt very, very bland. But in the aspect of monetary value for the company, it makes sense because you're getting more seats available, you're bringing in more of an audience to your product, and they sold out the O2 both nights for SmackDown and Money in the Bank, and you could tell it was a packed out crowd. It weren't like, again, seeing a stage and then seeing everyone around you. Yeah, it seems busy, but seeing 2 sides of the O2 where it's been a stage and then that ramp, it was crazy. It was crazy different, but it makes sense again. But again, as you said, it does feel very cheap to some extent.
Yeah, I think the answer lies in the middle ground. I don't think that we need like the big fuck off things. Like, do you remember when Backlash used to have like those stupid girder things that used to like hang from the thing? Like, I'm not saying that we should go back to that.
They were sick though. They were so sick. Fucking cool.
But
I'd love to see Kevin Owens jump off of one of them.
He probably fucking would, to be honest. Shane would.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But just somewhere in the middle, like just like a little screen or something. Like to me, like, I've always looked forward. I want it so bad for Mania to be in the UK. I think in a couple of years' time, maybe.
I don't think it will.
I'm holding out hope. But if I turn up and it's the same set that WrestleMania 40 had, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed.
It wouldn't bother me. It really wouldn't actually bother me, because I saw quite a lot of people talk shit about it, that it was the exact same as the year before. And I was like, I don't care. As long as the product's good, it doesn't really faze me what the backdrop looks like. Don't get me wrong, I understand they had the massive pirate ship one year, and I thought that was a bit fucking too stupid, if you ask me.
Well, yes, but with me being a Buccaneers fan, I completely understand why, because it is a Raymond James, wasn't it? But yeah, like, I agree with you. But for me, WrestleMania isn't just about the wrestling, it's about the spectacle. It's about the show that they put on. It's about the whole week leading up to it, which, to be fair, they did a lot this year with like the build up with the whole WWE world and stuff like that, and having a lot of shows and stuff they put on, which was really cool. But if I'm going to Mania, I want it to be absolutely breathtaking.
I get that.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it all in. I completely agree with you.
I was going to say, wait, didn't All In have like
shit?
It was like it was a tunnel, wasn't it?
Yeah, All In was shit in terms of the actual stage, but the show was good. But yeah, I think the stage that they've got announced-ish for the one this year is a bit bigger. Remains to be seen, I guess. But yeah, I think all in though, like I think it's a good thing. It gets more asses and seats. It gets more fans available. Yeah,
you know, all 81,000. Oh wait, no, 71,000 of them.
There was 2 of us. The rest are all augmented reality.
Yeah, I was going to say. But yeah, again, I'm not going to go into the topic of that, but I see a lot of people shit talk that WWE announced the seating for the entire 5 days of WWE, or 4 days. I think it was SmackDown, NXT, and both Mania nights. I saw someone going, "Lol, they're putting that because they were concerned about AEW's 81,000." I'm like, well, it wasn't 81,000. 81,000 tickets were sold, but 71 was counted.
Yeah,
but
it just to be honest, it didn't feel full.
No,
it was a lot of people, but it didn't feel full.
Yeah, I've heard that from a couple people. Someone said they moved seats.
Oh yeah, you could if you wanted.
There were some seats that I think they were sitting in the gods, and then they looked down, and then about halfway through the show, no one sat in these seats, so everyone just started to move to wherever they wanted to sit.
Yeah, it definitely happened. I can attest. I'm not incriminating myself for anything, but
not at all.
Yeah, and last bit of news I wanted to hint on, which I think actually kind of bookends a lot of it, to be honest. Fairly recently, it was announced that all of Vince's remaining shares in WWE have now all been registered for sale. And I think it is now truly the time.
He is a disease to the company. He has destroyed the company from the inside out for many, many years. He's fucked over talent. He's made some terrible decisions on character development. He's done nothing but damage the product for many, many a year, and I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah,
and after all the news that came out about him earlier this year, I'm glad he's gone. He's a fucking disgusting human being.
Yeah, I'd agree. In all, wrestling is fun. It's a good time. It's fake and stuff, but very real people were really hurt by that man, and not even just the stuff in the lawsuit. He probably has destroyed very many careers over the time that he was in charge of WWE. I'm personally happy to see him gone. I feel bad for Stephanie in that situation, because obviously it's her dad, but she still wants to remain part of the company.
Yeah, a lot of them have been roped into it. Again, loads of people pointing the finger, going, "Well, if you were that close to your dad, you would know what he was doing behind closed doors."
Not always so.
Not always, but again, it's hard. There's no forgiving what he's done.
No.
How can you? It's hard because again, on the outside of things, we're all "fuck you," but it's her dad, and again, I don't condone what he's done or what he's done throughout his career, but you're trying to get somebody to tell, to go, "Yeah, fuck your father," he's scum, you should be ashamed of him, and she probably is, and that's probably why WWE don't really talk about it during the press conferences, especially when it first happens. A couple of journalists were like, "Oh yeah, so with Vince," they're like, "Well, we're going to focus on the product."
As they're right to do.
Yeah, and I feel like it's hard because it's when WWE started to build up that momentum to start shining a light upon how good the product started to become, and then all of it come to light about him and what he did, and it kind of demolished a little bit of the growth that was happening for WWE, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think that was weird, wasn't it? When he initially stepped away and then kind of managed to backdoor his way in. But I feel like the change was happening that first time he left. But then because he shoehorned his way back in, it kind of all went back to square one again. But
it did, because you could see some of the products change. One week it was really good, and then the following week it was it's Vince is running this, and then it was it came out that Vince was actually running one of the shows, or he was giving changes to shows on what he didn't like anymore. I'm like, you're literally going to destroy your family business. You're willing to let it all go because of your own egotistical way, and I'm just glad he's gone.
I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have been happy to see that place burnt at the ground rather than let anyone else have it.
Of course.
I think that's very much indicative of the sort of person that he is. I'm just glad to see him gone, and I think everything will come out in the wash. All all things will come out about that man over time. I think, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this is what we've heard is just like the tip of the iceberg. I think it's gone on for a long time.
I agree.
I can see it just completely getting out of control, to be honest. I think it's very much so going to turn into a situation further down the line. And I think WWE, TKO, all that, just cutting ties with him completely is 100% the correct move. That man needs to be as far away from this product as possible. Because when he goes off, you don't want it to be taking WWE down with him.
No, of course not. And again, I feel like things have just been so good for the product. Like, and I keep again, I'm a massive WWE fan. I've been there through the highs and the lows. I've seen how talent have been treated in the aspect of, again, we mentioned Killian Cross earlier on, how he was such a prominent force in NXT, got pulled up to the main roster, and then got given a weird gimpy helmet, and then again with is his name Keith Lee?
Yeah, Keith Lee.
Yeah, and that he went up to the main roster, got given the name Bobcat something. Oh, I can't remember. They gave him a really shitty gimmick.
Shitty gimmicks, yeah.
And he hated it, and then he left, and then he mentioned about Volta changing his name to Gunther, and he was like, if you I feel bad for him, and don't get me wrong, fucking thank God he's still doing amazing and it didn't affect him. But again, we've seen what Vince has done with some of the products, like with Dean Ambrose. Ambrose hated the last few months of his career within the WWE, and it's prominent. Like you can see that he doesn't like what he was doing. And then same with the Revival, like one of the best tag teams out there, like hands down one of the best tag teams. Vince was making him shower, shaving each other's backs and shit like that. It's just like, you're fucking killing your some of your best talent, and you're gonna willingly let him go. Like, yeah, I'm glad he's gone. I'm so glad he's gone.
100%. And I think, to me, like, you look at it though, and you go, how many more Codys have slipped through this company's fingers?
100%. Well, Drew was a Cody theoretically, but he came back, luckily enough.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of others. Again, we had the whole build up for Aleister Black with like his like story book that he was writing, and then he came out and costed Big E the Intercontinental title, and then was released the day after that happened. I'm like, you have built this up for 2 months. It was for 8 weeks. They were building up Malachi Black or Aleister Black, and then they had him come out, make a prominent like force, costing Big E the title, and then let him go. Same with Bray. They let Bray go during his time with the Fiend.
I don't understand that at all.
Like, I understand, like, I don't even understand. Bray was going through mental health issues, if I'm not mistaken. That was the reason why he went.
Best friends, though, isn't he? Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. And then Vince didn't like that and fucking fired him. Like, it's absolutely disgusting. And the further that man is away from wrestling, the better. Like, I hope and pray he doesn't make another company, like another wrestling brand.
I can't see it. He's too fucking old now anyway. Like, I'm just glad he's gone, to be honest. I can't see him coming back now. I think this is kind of the final straw now. Like I say, all his shares are all up for sale now, which I just imagine will just get bought up by the rest of the majority owners and shared out. But yeah, I think it's weird how it kind of has happened all around the same sort of time as Mania getting as big as it is and stuff like that. I think it definitely feels now like that whole chapter is just not even closed, but like off the bookshelf.
It's what they were saying at Mania. They kept saying it's the new chapter of WWE. They kept reiterating that and saying it so many times that this is the new stage of WWE. And again, when they had Stephanie come out and say this is the Paul Levesque era, it goes to show that they are literally putting everything in the past and being like, that chapter's gone.
Yep.
this is what you're going to get now. This is the new product, and it's exciting to see. I just hope they kind of keep the momentum up. They kind of focus a bit more on wrestling and don't have to do another half an hour segment of The Rock talking shit or Cody explaining why he needed this win and stuff. Because again, we get it, and I understand you need stuff like that to build these storylines, but we don't need it every single Monday. We need a 20-minute segment of Cody coming out and being like, last week I got this happened to me, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Main event, Cody versus this guy. Simple. You don't need to have Cody come out and talk about half an hour of why he's pissed off that someone had a shit in his cereal and stuff like that. We just need to focus more on the wrestling aspect of it. And when they do that, I feel like it's gonna definitely skyrocket a lot more.
Yeah, I think it's only up from here. Like I said earlier, it's just a really exciting time to be a wrestling fan again. And I'm not going to lie, like part of it kind of has thoughts popped up in my mind. Like now is a really good time to start a wrestling podcast.
I'm glad we're starting to do this. It's it's the start of our thing, so hopefully one of many to come.
Yeah, I mean, we're only going to get better at it over time. It's the first time we've done it. Probably has run a little bit longer than we anticipated, but we did have a whole 2 nights of Mania, a Raw, a SmackDown to talk about as well. So yeah, probably will be a little bit shorter in format, I should imagine, moving forward. But yeah, I've been Cyber Matt, aka Matt, and this has been
I'm the Phenomenal One, aka Reese.
And where can we find you? Where do you usually do stuff?
All socials is the Phenomenal One. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch.
Cool. Same, to be honest. I'm mostly on TikTok streaming. Not been doing it for a while. I've had some poor health, but yeah, we're back in a big way starting next week. Got all new equipment and stuff for the stream, so
hell yeah.
Hopefully we can make a good run at it again. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining in. It's been the Tag Team Talk Show. See you on the next one.
Peace.